12 o'clock on your Monday afternoon now. Welcome in. It is the halftime show. Tyler Head, producer Ed Bird behind the glass, and the live wire himself, Scott Hamilton of the Post and Courier, is in studio. Have the dump button ready. I don't know where these next 2 hours are going to go, Ed, but buckle up.
You reached out to me. You reached out to me.
I did.
You wanted me on this program.
I did.
Pleased more than anything in the world.
I also acknowledge that this could be pretty chaotic.
Yeah, that whole script thing, it's just kind of, yeah.
Well, we don't have to follow it to a T, but as long as we somewhat stay on the right path.
I sent out a tweet.
You did send out a tweet. I sent out a GIF of myself buckling up.
Is it a GIF or a GIF?
It's a GIF.
It is a GIF.
GIF is peanut butter.
GIF is peanut
GIF
butter.
is, it stands for something, right?
I don't.
Don't all those things stand for things?
Dude, I was born in the 70s. I'm not going to be able to answer that question.
You have the same sense of humor as I do, so I figured
I do. We played the circle game. It was awesome.
I figured you would understand the GIFs and GIFs and memes and all those kind of things. But good to have you actually in studio this time.
Yeah, the palatial 107.5 The Game Studios. It is really nice. In all seriousness, you have a lot of televisions. It's clean, and there's a dollar. And I asked you about that dollar coming in. I said, "Is that my dollar?" And you said, "Yeah, if you want it." It's been there for 8 months.
That's your commission for the day.
So that's how Cumulus rolls around. Just leaves money laying around.
Yeah. That was from our money bath a while back that we just got left over.
Your money, like the Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, exactly. We have a big pit and we jump into it. That's how things roll around.
Terry Ford was just.
Yeah, that's some of his personal money bath collection.
Is this on TV? Are we streaming?
We are on the Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass and powered by Integrated Media.
I teed that up, didn't I?
Yeah.
The Shepherd's. What
Boom,
is it?
It's right there in front of you. A true reflection of quality.
Okay, Shepherd's with 2 P's.
Yes.
That's how they roll in the Midlands.
It is. Easy to
remember. Just more of everything. 2 P's.
We're getting him up to speed on all this. He's like a caveman discovering fire.
I love that dude, man. He comes in and he sits down and he's jagging around and he goes, "Well, that was a quick 5 minutes." So he had his quick 5. He managed to get 10 minutes in his 5-minute break.
We had to finally give Captain Dave a day off because we've worked him to the bone for the past 3 years that I've been here. So he got a well-deserved day off today.
Now, will he be here tomorrow?
That is a good question. I think he's off tomorrow as well.
So he will miss this entire 2-day experience.
He will miss your portion of this week. But here's the thing: you are open to coming back more in the next couple weeks.
I'm open to it.
If you're available.
I will try to avail myself for you, Tyler Head.
For anybody, just off the jump here, for anybody that is not aware, and Bill did tweet this out yesterday, if you follow him on Twitter, he's dealing with a lot right now. He is in the hospital, going to be there for a little bit longer. We'll get him back in here as soon as we can, but for the time being, we're obviously filling the gap with Scott Hamilton, Jack Beltru being a little bit later on this week. But again, thoughts and prayers to Bill. If you know him, tweet him or text him or anything like that. Tell him you're thinking about him, and we hope to get him back in here soon as we get closer to football.
Yeah. I mean, it's bad as it is, but the timing of it's awful because I know he wants to be up and running for football season.
And we had just started the show a couple weeks ago, working together, so we're getting things kicked off. And again, hopefully we can get Bill back in here very, very soon. I'm constantly refreshing my feed here because the AP poll is supposed to come out in the next however many minutes. We're at 12:04, and I've got nothing yet.
I went ahead and put my ballot out there. I did. I put it out at 12. That we were told 12 o'clock.
You were told 12 o'clock?
I hit it at 12.
Now, is it encouraged as an AP voter to publicly display your ballot? Now, you can. There's a website you can go and actually look up
collegepolltracker.com.
how people vote. Yes, I went back and tracked McMurphy last week on how he actually did vote for the Game Pirates, which he was actually pretty generous towards them last year, contrary to what people are saying, with him leaving them out this year. But he was pretty much in line with where Carolina was on a week-to-week basis. I didn't know if, the AP was like, hey, we would like you to do this. We wanted you to keep it to yourself. Is that a thing at all?
No. We're encouraged, actually.
Okay. Transparency.
Yeah. College Poll Tracker, first of all, those guys do an amazing job. They do an amazing job getting all the information, getting. First of all, you got to have all the voters. There's 61 of us across the country. Getting our ballots. But the way they put it together, and kind of to your point with Brett, you can look at trends. You could see bias. Are they voting for this team too much? Are they ignoring this team? It shows like extreme. So say you have this arbitrarily, say Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
The team has Alabama at number 2, but the poll, they finished at number 12. Would that be considered an extreme pick? So, and it goes the other way as well.
Right.
Maybe they're sandbagging on the team.
Right.
But it's really cool, man. It is really cool, and we are encouraged to get it out there.
Well, the poll has now officially dropped.
Okay.
We have the full AP Top 25. South Carolina, actually a little bit higher than I expected.
Where?
13.
I had them 12.
You had them at 12. The coaches poll last week also had them at 13.
I had them 12.
So, and that since you're a voter yourself, explain your reasoning for why they're 12.
I like the offense. I mean, look, after what we saw last year, and I know that defense was a generational defense, I like how the Gamecocks stack up with the schedule they have. And I know it's an SEC schedule and it's tough, but to see the way they played, they have an X factor at quarterback. They have, I'm still waiting for the wide receivers to awaken. I think that's going to happen this year.
I think we all are.
Dylan Stewart is a phenomenal talent. And I think there's enough depth there to make up with some of what they lost on defense. Now, here is my question. I put them number 12 under the presumption that Razul Faizan will be playing.
Okay, now if he's not eligible, how does that change your perception?
I think it drops him probably to 20.
Okay, that much.
I think so.
Okay,
I think so. Well, that's only a game difference.
That is.
That's only one loss difference.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that he is that big of a factor, but you can't have too much depth.
Oh, sure.
And quality depth.
Yeah, totally.
And from what we've seen of him and from what we've heard about him, and, listen, we've not seen him compete in the Southeastern Conference yet.
No.
We're going off of Utah State and JUCO.
And look, if the eligibility thing wasn't the topic of conversation this offseason, we'd be saying, hey, let's see how this guy adapts to playing in a much tougher conference in the SEC. Like, we still wouldn't be 1,000% sold on him, but when you look at the entire room, Oscar Attaway was never the lead back when he was at North Texas. Mm-hmm. Jordan Howell, ran all over in SC State at the FCS level. Isaiah Augusta, for one, had a terrible offensive line, and two, just wasn't as featured a part of their offense as running backs typically are at Colorado. And Matthew Fuller, we just haven't seen enough of him at the college level yet to truly know what he's capable of. So even if Faison was eligible, it still would have been a running back room full of question marks, but it's even more so now because you don't have what was a former 1,000-yard back at his prior stop eligible to play.
Yeah, I mean, there's value in that.
Sure.
He's an older guy with fresh legs.
Yes.
That's an anomaly.
Yeah, because he didn't actually play for the first 2 or 3 years of being in college.
Only played, he's 25. He's played 3 years, but they've been spread out over the last decade.
So he's effectively, the same health-wise, I guess, in the category of a 19 to 20-year-old. If you really think about it that way in terms of wear and tear of playing football over the years.
Exactly. So I think that matters, but I mean, look, dude, I've done this a long time. This is like the first time I was an AP Top 25 voter, I think, was 2012. Might have been 2011.
Now, how do you get to become an AP Top 25 voter?
There's a secret ceremony, and you get a ring, and all. No, somebody asked, hey, you want to do it? And they asked me a long time ago. I'll do it.
They have to haze you, though, right?
I will say this.
They tar and feather you?
They tar and feather you, yeah. I will say this. I do basketball as well. Last year was actually the first time I've ever done basketball.
Okay.
That's hard, dude.
Yeah, you have a lot bigger of a sample size. And, watching college basketball and consuming all the content you need to be up on everything happening in the country, a lot harder than football.
It's extremely hard. I will say this. During the regular season, I'll get up on a Sunday morning around 5. I mean, I'll try to get all the games in I can on Saturday, but I'll get up around 5, and you just start absorbing. And you look at what you had before. You're trying to figure out who did what, who played who, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
Preseason, and we talked about this last week, used to be way easier.
Sure.
It is, you could have, and I'm only half joking, but you could have flipped my ballot upside down and it still would have made sense to a certain degree.
Yeah, because there's so much roster turnover with everybody this year. Well, what do we look at? We look at quarterbacks. We look at star defensive players. If you got a great wide receiver like Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State, he's the best player on that team. We know that about him, even though we don't know the quarterback situation, assuming it's Julian Sayin starting here coming up in a couple weeks. But it is so hard, and that's what this job as well. because we spent the entire offseason projecting. Well, we think this, we think that, we're expecting this, expecting that. And 5-10 years ago, when the roster stayed pretty much the same outside of the guys that went pro or ran out of eligibility, you kind of knew, hey, you've got this running back that you've had in your system for 3 or 4 years. He's waited his turn. He's done this. He's done that. And now he's going to explode in this 1 year as a starter, where now it's like, okay, you got a guy out of the transfer portal that you don't know enough about him from his time playing at that school. And now you got to see how he's going to adapt to playing within your offense.
I noticed here, and I'm looking at this top 25, and I'm trying to absorb it while we're on the air here. Only one Group of 5 school coming in at number 25.
Which, doesn't that almost kind of feel like a pity vote?
It does feel like a pity vote.
We have to include somebody. And, here's the thing. Boise State has almost kind of earned the benefit of the doubt because they're always, they were the original BCS. Well, I guess Utah is the original BCS buster. But Boise State's been that one program that's always been in that mix, going back to the Fiesta Bowl back in the day, the Kellen Moore days, all those kind of things. They're the biggest brand of the Group of 5.
Sure.
To where if you're like, well, who's going to be the G5 representative in the playoff? I don't know, Boise State, which they were last year.
We'll say Boise.
Yeah.
But I didn't have one on my ballot. I did not have it. And it's not G5, it's G6. We've got to reprogram our brains now. G6.
The Pac-2.
For another year.
The 8-Pac.
The 8-Pac, 2-Pac.
Is going to pretend to be a power conference. It's like when the AAC tried to push Power 6.
P6,
and we all laughed at them. You think Pac-8's going to do that?
No. They don't have the juice. But
it's essentially just Mountain West Light at
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I don't know why they just become one big mountain pack or something.
Mountain pack. But I look at this, though, and I see one G5/G6, and this perfectly illustrates what you're talking about with regards to roster turnover, because if you're a good player at the G5, G6 level, you're being recruited.
Yeah.
You're being poached. You're being lured to one of these power schools.
Yeah, they become stepping stones now.
That's exactly right. Developmental schools.
Yeah.
And it's a trickle-down thing. We're going to see more and more of it from the FCS on down to Division II.
If Ashton Jeanty was a true freshman last year and had that kind of year, there's no way he's coming back to Boise State because somebody would pay him $4 million to go run for them instead.
Well, he turned down money from the year before, but not like last year. No, not like last year.
That kind of monster year the year. He was good, but he was phenomenal last year.
It was historic.
Yeah.
It was historic. I was alive. Yes, I was alive when Barry Sanders had his year.
Yeah.
And we'll never see a season like that again. But what we saw at Ashton Jeanty last year was really special. Yeah. And I think and all these things are secular, and we're chasing rabbits here. But it's coming back around to the running back position being a thing and all that, and I find that encouraging. But I'm looking at Boise here. I don't think they're top 25.
Again, I think they just threw a bone to somebody in the G5 saying, "Hey, here's your lead representative to make the playoff this year," because that's just kind of what we have to do now, I guess.
I've got to break this down on my ballot, and we can talk about it on the other side if you want.
Yeah, we'll kind of go through the whole top 25, compare where you have some differences there. As again, this sets the perception for a lot of these teams going into the year. It is the halftime show. He is Scott Hamilton, the Post and Courier. I'm Tyler Head. Ed Bird producing on the other side of the glass on your Monday here on The Game. Welcome back in. It is the halftime show. Tyler Head, Scott Hamilton, hanging out with you on your Monday here on The Game. The AP poll just coming out about 15 minutes ago. Again, South Carolina finds themselves at number 13. Once again, one spot behind the new biggest rival to this program, the Illinois Fighting Illini, who are number 12, just like in the coaches poll.
I noticed that right away.
Yeah.
I noticed
These two teams have been locked at the hip since that Citrus Bowl. We got rule changes. We've got coaches going back and forth with each other. I said this earlier. If there was somehow a way these two teams played each other in like a playoff, say here at Williams-Brice Stadium, that would be the most intense atmosphere we've ever seen. Not just because it's a playoff game, because it's Illinois, the team that everybody now suddenly hates.
I was at the bowl game and just sitting there thinking, this is happening. This is Shane Beamer's getting ready to climb Brett Bielema like a tree.
Yeah, which I don't know how that fight would go.
I don't. Here's
now
what
Shane is scrappy. I'll give him that.
He's scrappy.
He's fast. He's quick.
He would be like a spider monkey.
Yeah.
We're in the pregame. We're like, what was that on like a Friday? I think.
Sure.
And okay, on Wednesday they had the media conference where both coaches are together, and I'm sitting there thinking, I like Brett Bielema.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like him. And
no, he's pretty inoffensive. I mean, he coached at Arkansas.
I thought he was a clown there because he had left a really good job. It seemed so perfect for him at Wisconsin.
Sure.
And then he just fell on his face.
He figured out it's really hard to win at Arkansas.
It's hard to win in the SEC.
Especially when that whole SEC West existed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Illinois, and I'm like, you know what? Good for Brett Bielema. Turning around Illinois. Illinois is harmless.
That's the thing is you can go there and win 7 to 8 games, and nobody will bother you.
Right.
You're fine. You're an inoffensive team.
You're Kentucky.
Exactly. Well, they look better than Kentucky right now. But again, going into that game, everyone's like, oh, hey, Citrus Bowl, cool. Illinois, fine, whatever. They kind of had the same kind of season Carolina did. And then it ends up being this, like, knockdown, drag-out, death match.
Battle of personalities.
Yeah.
It was pretty intense. But keep this in mind. South Carolina coming in at 13. The last time South Carolina was ranked in the preseason?
Yep.
2014, right?
Number 9.
And what happened?
Oh, Kenny Hill happened.
Kenny Trill, baby.
Kenny Trill, and he started like 3 or 4 more games and got benched?
I didn't like that guy either.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of one of those things that, like, and I get it. You were trying to capitalize on the moment, but it almost seemed like they jumped the gun on that way too quickly. Like, oh, well, he's definitely the next Johnny Manziel. Let's bump the brakes a little bit.
Well, he told us he was.
He told us he was, and obviously that Carolina team ended up being pretty bad that year.
And it was 6 games, like, after the beating. Was it the Liberty Bowl that year?
Yes.
I don't remember who they beat, but 6 games after that, and Spurrier said, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
That started
Sean, it's yours.
Started a very dark period for this program that, we're still trying to completely pull out of the ditch at this point. But good to see that Carolina's ranked in this year's preseason poll. No shock at the top. Number 1, Texas. I expected that. And we debated this earlier. I really thought that they could not, again, talking about all the AP poll voters here, I thought they couldn't turn down the opportunity to see 1 versus number 2 in week number 1 and have Ohio State at 2, which they are not. They're number 3. Penn State is number 2.
I didn't. You know what? I never even thought about that when I put my ballot together. I have Clemson number 2.
Okay. I think that's fair. I think
it's very fair.
Top to bottom, maybe the best roster in college football. Pretty much returned everybody from a year ago. Again, Klubnik, one of the better quarterbacks in college football. A scary team this year. Like I don't know what 26 and beyond is going to look like, but they look as championship level as they have maybe since the Trevor Lawrence days.
Absolutely. But all the pieces are there. You've got the explosive wide receivers. You've got the generational quarterback. You've just got these monsters on the defensive line. And Tyler, if I learned anything in all my years in media and playing ball and this, that, and the other, you can tell a good team from a great team and a great team from an elite team by looking at the defensive linemen.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in front to back building your team.
Sure.
And those Clemson teams of 2016, 2018, 2019, they up front, I don't know we've ever seen anything quite like it. I mean, those Dexter Lawrence years, they were unbelievable.
Well, God, they were putting D-line and edges in the league pretty much every single year.
And they were going 3 deep.
Yeah.
And this team is comparable to that with Peter Woods and those guys, man. I mean, I'm really buying stock into this. But here's the rub on all this, or maybe that's not the appropriate word, but Dabo has so much on the line with this team.
Sure. Again, this is the year to win.
This is the year to win.
If you don't,
it validates everything that he's been saying with regards to the transfer portal and all that.
Because last year when they opened against Georgia and they got beaten pretty soundly in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, we're like, hey, Dabo, you're not up with the times, man. If you don't start embracing the transfer portal and leaning into NIL, you're going to get left behind. Now, give them credit because they ended up being good enough to make the playoff by winning the ACC. But again, it seems like now is the perfect storm with everybody coming back. All the pieces are in place. Again, 26 and beyond, I have no clue.
Yeah.
But this is a year where they could legitimately make their deepest run at the championship since
2019.
Yeah, since 2019. Well, they played or they lost the national championship.
I wonder this, though, Tyler, and you say this is the year, and I agree, this is the year. This team is loaded. But, how deep is it, and what does it mean going forward? Because this is a true developmental team. Only 3 guys came via the portal, and that was this offseason.
Yeah.
Is the next man up, and we find out as the season goes on,
sure.
Are those guys going to be at that level the starters are this year? Will they be next year? Will they be going forward? But I also wonder this. God love his little heart. How far back did DJU set Clemson?
That's a good question, by the way. Did you see people losing their minds when he threw the 51-yard bomb yesterday in their preseason game?
He's got measurables.
And that's the thing is and when he came in and started that game for Lawrence in 2020 and they lost that overtime game to Notre Dame, he looked every bit of the 5-star he was billed to be. And it kind of seemed like, okay, well, here comes the next guy in line after Deshaun Watson, after Trevor Lawrence, that's going to take over and take this team to heights. And he just wasn't that. Now, again, Cade Klubnik has come along and kind of become that guy in his own right. I wouldn't put him on the level of Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson quite yet. But, those DJU years, that was dark for Clemson.
Two things about what you just said. One, DJU against Notre Dame, he had one team to prepare for, one thing to worry about.
Yep.
The more he played, the more he thought, and that was the worst thing in the world for him. His feet, he looked like he was planted in cement, and this is a 250-pound guy who can move a little bit.
Sure.
He didn't move at all. I mean, he looked like he was planted in cement. And number 2, Cade Klubnik. I was at the Georgia game last year, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. He didn't look great. Granted, it was against Georgia.
Yeah.
But he didn't look great, but he got better each week. And by the time we left Austin in December, I know the score didn't go in the favor of Clemson, but Cade Klubnik played a good game against a very good Texas team.
They made it competitive in the middle parts of that game.
His development, and now that he has, that is the best receiver room they've had in 7 years.
I mean,
6 years at least.
That's probably one of the best receiving rooms in the country.
Absolutely.
It rivals Ohio State.
And it makes you wonder, Garrett Riley's got that extra year now. He's had that extra year there to polish the offense. And now they've got Tom Allen.
Sure.
Tom Allen. Yeah. And that's another thing, and I know we have to go to the break, but for Dabo to finally go outside the family and hire somebody not only to be an assistant coach, but a coordinator.
Yeah.
That's him showing that he is softening, he is loosening up, and he is progressing with the time.
Yeah, and again, we'll see how good they'll be this year, but I think 4's pretty solid. Again, you had them at number 2 in your AP poll rankings there, and God, that game at the end of November is going to be a tough challenge for South Carolina if they want to get themselves into making the college football playoff. We'll continue to look at the AP Top 25 as the hour rolls along. He is Scott Hamilton of the Post-Courier, Tyler Head, Captain Ed Bird, producing on the other side of the glass on your Monday on the Game. Welcome back in. It is the halftime show. Tyler Head, Scott Hamilton hanging out with you on your Monday here on the game. Quick reminder, the game Summer Golf Classic coming up a week from Friday over at Charwood Golf Club in West Columbia. If you want to take part, give Charwood a call at 803-755-2000. Press the number 2. It's only $400 per team. Going to, of course, have the onion sausages for breakfast, Saki's Wine and Spirits providing the mimosa bar, and Firehouse Subs providing lunch that day. We'll have prizes to give away, and the golf gun makes its return as well. So, again, look forward to seeing you out there for the games. Summer Golf Classic. Give them a call, 803-755-2000. Press the number 2 to sign up. We're continuing to go through the AP Top 25 that came out about 30 minutes ago. South Carolina finds themselves number 13 in the preseason rankings. And this is where things get interesting because, again, we talk about Texas being number 1, which absolutely no surprise to anyone, whether you think Arch Manning's going to be really, really good or not. That team is so loaded. But you have them, Penn State at number 2, Ohio State at 3, Clemson, as we talked about, at 4, Georgia at 5, Notre Dame at 6, Oregon at 7, Alabama at 8, LSU at 9, and Miami at 10. Now, when you look at, I actually thought LSU was going to be higher, purely off quarterback play alone, because when you talk about Ohio State and Texas as well, Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, and Alabama all replacing quarterbacks that were their main starters a year ago, I felt like Garrett Nussmeier would be valued a little bit higher than these unknowns in some of these other places, to where I thought LSU could have been as high as potentially maybe 5.
Well, first of all, these teams are my 10 teams I have in my top 10.
Yeah,
but it's
in
like
different order. Right, yeah,
order.
The teams make sense. It's just the order
Correct.
that's a little mixed
does
up.
it really matter, though? I mean,
It doesn't, because it's about perception, and it's about your starting point. As we talked about before, again, the college football playoff poll is not supposed to be influenced by the AP poll, but it is. They basically say, hey, that team was number 1 for the first 8 weeks of the season. Well, they're our number 1 too. That team was number 5. They're our number 5 too. So it does create a perception. And when you're a team like Carolina, if you're starting 13th, well, as long as you win and you go like 10-2, 9-3, you're in a good spot. Now, if you were unranked like they were last year, you were fighting the uphill battle the entire time of getting yourself ranked and then climbing the polls as the week went by. So you start off more advantageous this year. Yeah, if you're in the top 10, as long as you don't lose like 4 games, you should be fine.
I agree 100%. You know, remember, and I say it again, Tyler, no team has won the national title that was not ranked in the preseason since 1990, Georgia Tech. That live and die by that factoid. Back to LSU, I actually have LSU number 9. Like they are number 9 in the poll, I have them number 9. And I agree with you regarding Garrett Nussmeier, Harold Perkins, Weeks. I mean, they might have the best linebacking core in the country.
Sure.
With Weeks.
Sure.
But they also have Brian Kelly at coach. And
fair point.
And there's a very good chance that they start out 0-1, as they do under Brian Kelly.
For the 6th year in a row?
For the 600th year in a row. And it won't matter, maybe. I mean, it makes things harder to get an at-large.
It does, but, like, here's the thing, because that would mean they would lose to Clemson. That's quality loss. And, like, same thing with Texas and Ohio State. That loss doesn't really hurt you as long as that other team is as good as we think they're going to be. Because if Texas loses to Ohio State and Ohio State is 11-1 wins the Big Ten, well, it's like, okay. And as long as you're not getting beat by 50 points, like it's a quality loss.
But it goes back to something we also discussed last week, where it depends on what this committee likes.
Yeah.
Because it changes from year to year.
It does.
And do they reward wins, or do they penalize you for losses? And there are different degrees of penalties. Was it a good loss? Was it a bad loss?
I so much wish that before the season even starts, we could get, I don't know, a letter, a document from the committee that says, this year, these are our main points of criteria. This is how we weight this, and that. Because right now we're just guessing.
But they do. No, but they do have that.
Do they really?
Exactly. They do have this criteria that was set in stone in 2014.
But they don't tell us how they weigh each one necessarily.
Each individual, the dynamics of the room is organic each year.
It is.
It evolves. It changes. Different personalities, people who look at different things and different agendas. Don't let them.
Sure.
You're 100% right.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me they do not take the previous week's poll into the next meeting. There's no way, because for arbitrarily, let's say Texas loses.
Yeah.
Texas is number 1 in the college football playoff rankings, and they lose by 15 points. Are they going to drop them out of the top 10?
No.
No,
so
because they were number 1 at some point, so they must be pretty good.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, well, they lost to number 5. So, all right, we got to drop them to like 3 and put 5 at 2.
Or we flip 5 to 1.
Yeah, 5 to 1 or something along. Like, that's how those kind of things typically happen. Even though the way I understood it initially, it wasn't supposed to work like that.
It's supposed to be clean slate.
A decade in now, and it just is what it is at this point.
See, what it should be in a perfect world, and there's no way to do it, blind resumes.
Yeah, ideally.
But the eye test matters.
The eye test does matter, and they do the little mock blind resume thing every single week. Of like, here's team A, B, and B. Here's A, B, and C. Here's their strength of schedule. Here's the wins against top 25 teams. Usually, you can kind of figure out which one of those teams is. But again, I don't know how much of that goes into. And you're going to do the mock thing, which I'm very interested to hear.
I'm so excited to go
hear
do
the process of this, of like how much of that actually happens inside the committee room, and how much. Because again, there is no way to be completely unbiased in college sports, especially because everybody in that room has an affiliation to a team, to a conference, to a network sometimes.
They literally have been a coach of a team, an athletic director of a team. They've worked at ESPN, and that's the home of the SEC.
Sure.
You're right.
There is nobody that sits in that room that is completely unbiased when they look at college football. And I wish that wasn't the case, because I wish we didn't have to have these debates of, well, so-and-so probably put this team at that because of this and that, those kind of things, but it's where we are, unfortunately.
So it sounds like you want a computer.
Hey, I didn't have a problem with the BCS.
I did until I didn't. I didn't appreciate it. Like many things in this world, I didn't appreciate it until it was gone.
Listen, I'm nostalgic about a lot of things, and the way we used to determine national champions is one of them.
I'm nostalgic about your T-shirt.
I enjoy. Yes, 75 years of Darlington.
How did you? Wait, stop.
Yeah.
How did you get that T-shirt?
I was in the media center where they started handing them out last year.
Son of a.
Yeah, they were like, "Hey, you want a T-shirt? Yes, I will take a free T-shirt and a hat 7 days out of the week.
I'm a T-shirt hoe.
Yeah.
And a coffee cup hoe.
Yeah.
But that T-shirt is strong.
Yeah.
Darlington 75th.
Josh Harris, the track president, literally tossed it to me.
Tyler Head for the win.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Back to your point.
I lost my train of thought now. What was I saying?
Something about computers and nostalgia for Wonder Years or something.
I enjoyed the 12-team playoff last year. It's fun. More games, more teams involved. I never had a problem with the 2-team. I never had a problem with the 4-team. I just enjoy it for what it is, but I didn't hate the computer system.
The irony is they nailed the 4-team playoff up until the last edition of it.
Really,
even that first one with Baylor, and TCU.
Well, I blame
Ohio State validated it. They won the whole thing.
They did, and look, I blame the Big 12 because they deemed them co-champions, even though Baylor beat TCU in the regular season, and that was its own thing. But
was that Bob Bowlesby the commissioner then?
It may have been.
We'll have to research that during the break.
Yeah, that was on the Big 12 more than anything else.
But you're right. They marginalized their champion.
Funny enough, I ran a. Do you remember the Dr. Pepper commercials with Larry Culpepper?
Of course.
I ran a parody Larry Culpepper Twitter account during the 2014 season, and I remember tweeting about, "Sorry, Big 12, if you can't determine a champion, I can't let you in my playoff." It's probably gone by now because I haven't used it in so long.
I can't believe you. Did you really? You had a parody account.
Listen, I'm a college football sicko. Of course I had a parody account.
Can we do a parody Terry Ford account?
Sure. He doesn't even use his own account.
I know.
Yeah.
We could take over.
Try and get his password.
You ever gotten his voicemail? Hey, this is Terry. Come back. It's like Kramer. Yo, ma.
I've not. Typically, he answers when I call. Maybe that says something about you when you try and call him.
Damn, man.
Just saying.
Hey, help me out here, brother. I'm the guest.
You are the guest.
I'm supposed to have Kate Blanchett.
You got
whatever I want.
You have thick skin, though.
I do have thick skin. I'm working on it.
You can roll with the punches.
Did you get the Kate Blanchett reference?
I did.
What was it? It was 22 Jump Street.
Yeah, I think so.
You said we had Kate Blanchett.
Yeah.
It's carte blanche. I die on a hill for Ice Cube. See, you're laughing.
We're going off the rails now. Well,
we got 2 hours, man.
We do. We'll try and get back on the rails with the AP polls to wrap up hour number 1. Coming up next, it is the halftime show. Tyler Head, Scott Hamilton, Ed Bird producing on this side of the glass on your Monday on the game.
You're so professional.
Welcome back in. It is the halftime show. Tyler and Scott Hamilton hanging out with you on your Monday here on the game. In the AP poll just releasing earlier on this hour. Been reacting to that so far. Trivia question for you. Do you know the 2 national champions in the past 20 years to start the season ranked outside the top 7 in the preseason AP poll?
LSU in 2019?
Nope.
They were ranked inside top 7?
They were ranked in top 7.
Oh gosh, this is a good question. Michigan?
Nope. They were in the top 7.
Since when?
The past 20 years. So since 2005, every national champion's been in the top 7 with the exception of 2. Who are those teams?
I am surely at a loss right. Ohio State. No, Ohio State was number 2 in the country.
I feel like one of them's pretty easy to guess.
I'm at a loss. Texas?
No.
No. With Vince Young? Who is it? You're killing me.
So one was Auburn in 2010. They were 22nd.
Because Cam Newton was coming out of junior college.
We didn't know who the heck Cam Newton was prior to that season.
Laptop in Florida.
Yeah. Obviously, hey, congrats. You won a national championship at Blinn Junior College. Say how you do in the SEC. Well, he ended up being one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. They were 22nd. Here's one. Florida State in 2013 was 11th in the preseason poll.
With Jimbo.
Yeah. And again, that was Jameis's redshirt freshman season, so we didn't know what he was going to be. And Jimbo went on a podcast the other day saying that was the most dominant team in college football history. Numbers-wise, it does actually hold up.
I covered that team a little bit. I was definitely at the ACC championship that year. I think they played Duke in the ACC championship that year, and they just
they bludgeoned everyone.
Curb stomped them. And then they beat Auburn in the national title. Auburn, that was a competitive game,
That was the only, because Jameis had to lead the touchdown drive at the very end to win. That was the only close game they played the entire year. It wasn't even worth watching their games because they were blowing everybody out. But yeah, in the past 20 years, every national champion has started in the preseason top 7 with the exception of those 2. So the question is, between Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame, and Oregon at 7, are you taking the top 7 of the field to win the national championship?
Oh, Tyler.
You don't have to tell me you're a national champion, but do you think it comes from the top 7?
I do. I mean, it could just as likely not, because, again, it goes back to what I was saying. You could have flipped this upside down. It would have made sense. And the nature of a playoff also makes things a little more volatile, but I think so. I mean, Texas is good, dude, and I'm not even I'm like you. I'm not even jumping onto the Arch Manning bandwagon.
Well, he doesn't have to be great for them to win.
It just has to be Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
a little better,
a little bit better.
A little bit better.
They were on the doorstep of a national championship appearance with a 7th round quarterback.
The one that gives me pause, the only one that gives me pause, but because I guess maybe of the brand and at the level they're achieving things, is Ohio State. They lost a lot.
They did.
But they might have the best player in the country. Jeremiah Williams.
Smith.
Smith.
Which I have a sneaking suspicion he might actually win the Heisman Trophy this year.
Possible. I mean,
he could have a Devontae Smith-esque season.
He could, and it depends on how the new quarterback is doing.
Which, again, kind of similar to Arch Manning. Yeah. You just have to be good enough. Like Will Howard, wasn't Heisman Trophy finalist.
He's Kansas State.
Yeah, he was good, but he didn't have to be like Superman for Ohio State to win the whole thing. It's like, hey, see those receivers? If you get them the ball, we'll be fine.
Well, that's the tie that binds these things. When you look at this, Drew Aller, good but not great. Mm-hmm. He's good but not great. Arch Manning, again, unproven commodity for the most part. We've seen glimpses.
Yep.
Ohio State, new quarterback. Kate Klubnik, yeah, he's pretty exceptional. Georgia, Gunnar Stockton.
I don't know yet.
Don't know yet. We don't know.
We have 6 quarters of him playing meaningful football.
Notre Dame.
CJ Carr. I hear good things.
We hear good things.
Yeah. What does that mean? Dante Moore at Oregon was pretty underwhelming at UCLA.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was a very hyped freshman. Then he just kind of Ty Simpson, we don't know.
Well, we don't even know if they're
going to be the starter.
Yeah, as of now he is, but like Keelan Russell is good. Austin Mack has the prior relationship from Washington with DeBoer, but yeah, I mean it's not 100% that Ty Simpson is going to be the starter.
Here's one, and I know we're just trying to break this thing down as best we can. I'm looking at others receiving votes.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh. I have Pittsburgh as a sleeper in the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I like that team very much.
Because they got
Desmond Reed. They have
what's his name at quarterback?
He's back.
Yeah.
Because remember, they started off 6-0 last year, then they stubbed their toe. They had a lot of injury problems.
Yeah.
If they stay healthy, I like Pittsburgh, because I think they're a good team. I don't think they're a great team. I don't think they're a national championship quality team, but they're a very good team. But it's ACC, dude. And I'm sorry to keep beating up on the ACC, but I'm not sorry.
Yeah, well, it's not the super deep conference.
It's not. They're happy to be third.
Eli Holstein, the former Alabama quarterback.
That's right.
He's back again.
So, and when you dive deeper into this, my ballot, I have 4 ACC teams. Let's go ahead and knock that out right now if we can get that out of the way. I have Clemson, obviously, at number 2. I just knocked it off there. There we go. Notre Dame doesn't count.
No.
Notre Dame doesn't count.
Notre Dame is the ACC's cousin that shows up when it wants to.
Faustian deal with that, but we'll talk about that later. I have Miami at number 10. I have SMU at 13. And then it goes all the way down to Louisville at 23.
Okay.
Those are my 4 ACC schools. But then when you look at others receiving votes, you see Georgia Tech. I don't bet against Haynes King after watching that Georgia game.
No, listen. Haynes King is one tough. You know what? Brent Key is a football coach. Is football coach. I mean, he screams football to me.
Yeah.
And listen, I went to Georgia. I hate Tech with every fiber of my being, but I give them credit for how tough that team is.
They've done a good job investing in that program, and that was a tremendous game.
Yeah. Oh man, you're telling me.
Game of the year?
That took years off my life.
Game of the year? Give me a better one. Georgia, Alabama. Give me another one. Game of the year last year.
I mean,
take off your UGA glasses.
I'm struggling to think of other games that would have topped that from like just pure insanity for 4 quarters.
It was then the overtime.
Yeah,
7.
Maybe the Peach Bowl with Texas and Arizona State.
Yeah,
also considering
when
the
you
stakes.
go scatterbooing.
Yeah,
scatterbooing. Yeah. Those, and I know I'm getting us off track, and I'm trying to stay within your guardrails.
It's all right.
But you look at Haynes King's performance against Georgia last year, and then you look at Cam Scatterboo in the Peach Bowl. Those are, I'm going to say that those were the 2 for me most satisfying individual performances of the entire year.
I think that's fair. Yeah, those guys put the team on their back.
Scatterboo was on
and led them to inches away from winning in both instances. And if you would have properly called a targeting call in Texas, Arizona State probably does win that game.
I regret that Kim Scatterboo didn't play on this side of the Mississippi River.
Oh, listen, he would have been in New York for the Heisman Trophy.
I had him on my ballot. He was 3rd on my ballot.
Yeah. No, people didn't. Most people weren't aware of him until the playoff.
I also voted for Max Dugan, though, the year before.
Okay. Yeah. 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Yeah. I'm a sucker for an individual performance, dude. Like Betsy Hardy.
He was a finalist, right?
He was. Yeah. But I had him number 1.
Okay. Well, I didn't know working out.
I also voted for Deshaun Watson over Lamar Jackson.
I think you can make a debate there.
Oh, he should have won.
Yeah.
Should have won. Lamar Jackson had the best year I've ever seen of a quarterback, but Deshaun Watson was Heisman-esque.
Yeah. Well, we'll never know.
Boy, do we talk when this music goes off?
Yeah. Well, we got 10 seconds till the break.
5. So, yeah, but you can't say 1. You got a point.
Yes. Hour number 2 on the way. He's Scott Hamilton. I'm Tyler Head. Monday here on the game. Welcome back in. It is the halftime show. Tyler Head, Scott Hamilton, Ed Bird producing on the other side of the glass here on your Monday on the game. Again, we spent the last hour there talking about the AP polls. We are only 20 days away from South Carolina starting the season against Virginia Tech. Have you gotten into the Any Given Saturday stuff on Netflix? Have you watched the whole thing, watched any of it yet?
Are we on the air? Are we back?
We are back. Yeah.
No, I haven't actually. I've got it recorded.
Okay. Well, it's on Netflix.
Netflix. I'm sorry.
So
it's the South Carolina Welcome Home thing is what I've recorded. I did watch that.
Okay.
I've watched it a couple of times.
Okay.
No, I got knotted up in the golf.
Okay.
The PGA Tour FedEx Cup's going on right now.
Yeah. Well, you got time before the season starts to check it out.
Oh, absolutely. There's 4 episodes so far?
It's all 7. Like they released the entire thing.
Oh, did they?
It's not like it's not like a weekly thing because it's all about last year. So it documents last season's teams. But Carolina is featured in episode 1, 4, and 7 in it. And, it gives you behind the scenes. It follows like the LSU game, A&M game, all that
Brett Bielema, though.
No, they didn't go. I haven't got to 7 yet, but I don't believe they followed them to the bowl game.
That would have been awesome.
But I did see this yesterday, and I want to preface this by saying we've given a lot of credit this year to South Carolina's social media activity because in the first couple of years of Beamer, and I get it, you're trying to generate, buzz and stuff for the program when you were kind of down in the dumps in the Muschamp era. So you had some silly skits, had those kind of things that's great. But when you start winning, eventually your reputation speaks for itself. You don't have to go to those links to be viral and those kind of things because people just know you as a team that starts to win. I saw this yesterday. They put out an official graphic on the South Carolina football Twitter account of being the most featured team on the Any Given Saturday Netflix series. Now, I think this is a tongue-in-cheek joke type of thing because you've seen it. There's a lot of programs that put out there, hey, we're this, we're that, and it becomes like a meme, right? Like it's a running gag. And I think that's what they were going for here, but of course a lot of people misinterpret it as you're actually trying to brag about this, which I hope is not the case because I feel like you're past the point where you don't need to do these things. You know what I mean?
If it wasn't for their social media team, what is South Carolina's record now against Kentucky?
Do you think the sunglasses thing has that much of an influence?
Yes, I do. I think, A, it fired up South Carolina, but B, I think it's lived in Mark Stoops' head since that came out.
I think it has, yeah. No, and the when I peruse message boards, the hatred that Kentucky fans have for South Carolina,
it's wild, isn't it?
It ticked up a lot. Because you look at those two programs like, oh, well, Kentucky fans think they should beat Carolina. Carolina fans think they should beat Kentucky. And again, Carolina's a nice little streak right now. But I think that the sunglasses thing took it to another level.
Personal, made it personal.
And again, it stemmed from social media and all those kind of things. But again, that was at a point where you're still building, right? Mm-hmm. You're still early on in Beamer's tenure. Nobody knew what he was as a head coach. Like, you're trying to generate whatever kind of buzz you can. And again, the social media team does a great job. I don't feel like if this was 100% serious when they put this out there, I don't feel like this is the kind of thing you need to do at this point, right? Because it's not the kind of thing that you should be having to brag about. It's just something that people just know, right?
Yeah, but I think you keep it up. You've established this is the way you roll now. Look at Ole Miss. Ole Miss does the same. Well, I'm going to run it back. It's Joey Freshwater.
Yes, Lane Kiffin is a Twitter troll.
I went with Mark Stoops to I sat with him, very first basketball game at Kentucky, right after he got hired.
20 years ago?
Yeah, seems like it, man. Yeah. It was 2012.
Longest tenured coach in the SEC.
Who'd have thought that? But you know what? Then again, all you got to do is win 7 games, go to a bowl, which they're struggling to do now. We can litigate that another time. But that whole program, man, just how moribund it's become. And I think, and the way he runs things with that Midwestern, very bland, very blah, blah. And then here comes Shane. Look at us.
Yeah.
We count. We matter. Because he knew he had to bring attention.
Sure.
And I've said this over and over. I don't care if he runs up and down the street like a carnival barker. I don't care. Because this program, the people around the program, the fans of South Carolina, they weren't angry after Muschamp left. They were worse. They were apathetic. At least anger's an emotion.
Well,
people stopped caring.
Because the perception around this program was, outside of those couple years with Spur,
this is what we are.
You're a program that just doesn't win.
You're never going to do it.
And again, it took one of the greatest coaches in college football history to come in here, and after it took him several years to get to that point of winning those 11 games, and then when it fell off quick in 2014, and obviously he left halfway through 15. And again, the perception was, okay, well, Carolina, that was a nice little run.
You are who you are.
That was cute, right? You won a couple of 11 games, and you never went to a BCS bowl, but you were in the conversation as one of the better teams in college football, and then you took your step back to mediocrity as people felt like you should be. And again, now you have an opportunity to buck that trend if you can be successful again this year off the heels of what you did a season ago. But yeah, you were trying to shake that reputation and wave your hands in the air as much as you can, saying, hey, look at us, look what we're doing over here.
And it's funny. First of all, that's a testament to the greatness of Spurrier, how undeniable it is. I mean, nobody else could have pulled that off. Maybe Saban could have. I'm not, but that's different. That's apples and oranges. But so many different things had to happen for South Carolina to be in this position. It had to have a coach who would embrace social media, regular traditional media, and he comes by that honest. His dad, you could call Frank's house, and he would pick up the phone. He's like Bobby Bowden. Pick up the phone. He'd call you back. Don't text him. He won't text you back, but he will call you back if you leave a voicemail. Frank Beamer is one of the all-time.
If you call the landline, he'll get you back.
If you call, yes. If you call the landline or you call his cell, he will pick it up, but he will not text you. But you had to have that. They had to have the win at Vandy that first year. Zeb Nolan coming in and throwing that dart to the back of the end zone.
General Zeb.
They had to have that, though. And for a number of years.
Well, they wouldn't have gone to a bowl game without it.
That's right.
And he wouldn't have got Mayo dumped on him without that.
That was Shane's first SEC victory, and it was on the road. And I contended up until probably last year that was the most important victory he's had up until this point, because you go to Vandy, you lose that game. I don't know what would have happened from that point with regards to the SEC. You go into the second year, and the second year was a bummer. Okay, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great
until the very end.
Until the very end, it was pretty awesome. But you or was it the third year? The third year
you missed the bowl game.
Okay, but it kept the momentum going. There's hope.
Well, and that's the thing. Outside of that third year, you have built off what you had done the prior year. And again, that first year in 2021, nobody expected them to win more than 2 or 3 games. And Beamer's brought that up a lot. Like, hey, we were expected to go like 2-10, 3-9, and we made a bowl game and won it. The next year, it looked like you were going to go 6-6, but then you pull off 2 of the biggest upsets in program history.
Getting Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, getting Spencer Rattler, and then beating Tennessee and beating your rival in Clemson back to back at the end of the season, and then 5-7, that was deflating. But then you bounce back immediately, and not only did you win 9 games, when they announced playoff teams, your graphic was there. It was just on the wrong side of the line, but you were still close enough. Nobody saw that coming. Absolutely nobody saw that coming.
You were a bunch of fake injuries and bad calls away from making the playoff. Norris Seller's ankle.
One particular bad call in general. More likely than not, which you'll get there when you watch it, but that was not shown in the Netflix series, by the way.
Cloninger, my colleague David Cloninger, he had the video of it on his phone at SEC Media Days, and he showed it to Garrett Nussmeier. And even he's like, I don't think that was a flag.
Nussmeier did what he was supposed to do.
Sure he did.
He sold that like The Rock used to sell the Stone Cold Stunner.
Damn, you going deep on that.
Yeah. I'm a big wrestling guy.
Hulk Hogan.
R.I.P. We were on the air when that happened a couple weeks ago.
What happened? Did you see? I was on the air when Prince died.
I was on the air when Ozzy and Hulk's deaths got announced 2 weeks
Just too much for you to bear.
It was a week, man. It was a week.
You weren't even alive when these people were working.
I remember the odd back years of Hulk Hogan's career, and obviously Ozzy's timeless, but yes.
Did you watch the reality show?
I did. Loved Hogan Knows Best and the Osbournes.
The Osbournes were wild, man. Wild.
Yeah, good stuff.
See, you're talking about me getting off the rails.
See, I'm trying to navigate us back in here.
Speaking of wild,
anyways,
that bowl game last year
was. But again, to kind of go back to my main point here, I feel like, and again, they've done a really good job this offseason of a lot more straightforward type of, hey, we're working, we're conditioning, we're getting better, and all that kind of stuff.
That's not who they are.
Yeah, because again, when you start winning, then your reputation speaks for itself. So, and again, I think it's half tongue in cheek, half joking when they put this out there. But so many people, if you look at the quote tweets and stuff like that, better go hang a banner in Willie B. Look at Carolina trying to claim most, screen time for a Netflix documentary series. Like, I feel like that's not the kind of things you need right now. You know what I mean? Because you don't need anything that's going to make people point and laugh at you. And I feel like that's something that gave people an opportunity to do that.
I see where you're coming from. I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. I think anything that gets you attention is a positive.
I'm not always the believer that all attention is good attention, though.
But you have to think like a 19-year-old. Think like a 19-year-old kid. Man, I'm going to get FaceTime on Netflix.
Which again, they're not wrong for being proud of the fact that they're the most featured team. Because, again, that's a great – and that's the reason why Beamer – wanted to be a part of it. It's a great recruiting tool. It allows people to see the inside of the program. It allows them to see him more behind the scenes. I mean, you'll see it when you watch it. It's showing him at home, interacting with his family, going to breakfast with his kids, like the way he treats his players. Like, if I'm a 17 or 18-year-old kid in high school, I'd look at that and say, yeah, I like to play for Coach Beamer. And they do it juxtaposed to Brian Kelly, who's the world's biggest bleep hole, it seems like, when it comes to the way that he deals with people.
I think about him, the video, and I told you it was like a stripper having a seizure.
Yeah, the dance. Yeah.
My God, that guy. I'm just sideways with that guy.
Well, here's the thing, and you'll watch that first episode. It's not going to make you like Brian Kelly anymore.
Really?
Like, yeah, that's kind of who
It'll make me like him less.
That's kind of who I assume Brian Kelly is.
Wasn't he like a politician? Like
well, he mentioned in the episode, he worked on Gary Hart's presidential campaign back in the late 80s.
Yeah, I remember that. Donna Rice.
Yeah, because
South Carolinian.
Because he's from whatever, New England, or
he's from Massachusetts.
He's Massachusetts. That's it. So yeah, he mentions that in there as well. But I did think it was a good dynamic where they paired Beamer and Kelly up. And again, it was because they played the game early in the season, which was featured in episode 1. But they could not be two vastly different types of coaches.
I'm so glad you mentioned Gary Hart. Donna Rice was the woman he got caught with on the yacht monkey business. And he was, and this is before your time, but I actually remember this.
I'm familiar with the story.
He was positioned to be the next JFK, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Got caught with Donna Rice, alumni of IRMO.
Oh,
alumni of South Carolina, Miss South Carolina.
Okay.
So we've gone full circle here. She was also on an episode of Miami Vice after that, or before that, rather.
Look at that. Football and history lessons.
The more you know. Do we have that sounder?
You never know what you're going to get with Scott Hamilton. That's for sure. I was going to get to this in this clip, in this segment. We'll get into the next one. Ari Wasserman, now we're talking about Carolina perception, all this kind of stuff. Said something interesting on Andy and Ari with On 3 the other day that I want to dive into in terms of who might be envious of Shane Beamer in South Carolina. That's coming up next. It is the halftime show. It's Ari and Scott Hamilton on your Monday on the Game. Welcome back in. It is the halftime show. Tyler Head and Scott Hamilton with you on your Monday here on the game. Another reminder, game Summer Golf Classic coming up a week from Friday over at Charlotte Golf Club in West Columbia. Tee time's at 9. Registration starts at 7:30. Onion sausages for breakfast. Mimosa bar. Thanks to Saki's Wine and Spirits and Firehouse Subs for lunch. Love prizes. Golf Gun's going to make its return. $400 for a team. If you want to take part, give Charlotte a call at 803-755-2000. Press the number 2 to sign up. I was listening to Andy Staples and Ari Wasserman of On3 yesterday doing their podcast, and they got to a section. They were particularly talking about Sam Pittman at Arkansas and obviously the hot seat that he's facing once again this year. And Ari makes an interesting comparison, basically saying that, this will be cut number 7 here, Ed, that, Sam Pittman suffers from not being what Shane Beamer is here at South Carolina.
There's going to be a glass ceiling of how much you can accomplish in your own conference. But, I think that what we were talking about more than anything is that, Sam Pittman is being perpetually thrown onto the hot seat for not being Shane Beamer. Right? It's not that they're not accomplishing.
By the way, will we get thrown on the hot seat this year if he goes 7-5? Shane Beamer, I'm talking about.
But, yeah, I think that, what the real issue here isn't, and I'm happy this question was asked because John is right, but the question isn't, can Arkansas hire somebody that can take them to the next level? The question is whether or not the things that are happening within the program now and the record that they have from their current coach is the reason he's on the hot seat. And the reason he's not on the hot seat is because he isn't a young, buff, excited dude that's going to help them win 10 games in a random year. Now, the thing that's interesting is that, we're really high on South Carolina right now, and they have Lenora Sellers, and a lot of that, I think is happenstance of where his recruitment went and how they ended up getting him. If South Carolina goes 6-6, they are back into the middle of that blip team in the SEC. We're riding a pretty big wave of a good year last year, and them having a good year this year is not guaranteed. I wrote a column about this literally on Thursday.
So two things there. One, the part that we kind of talked about a minute ago, that it's so important for South Carolina to win this year to kind of buck that trend of, you're just a middle to below average team, in the SEC, and kind of alluding to what they said there if they go 6-6 or 7-5. But I think it's interesting, and you're generating ideas for your own content here in terms of being envious. How many programs or coaches are envious of what Carolina and Shane Beamer are actually doing in the SEC?
Or what they're doing on the field, or the goodwill amongst the fan base that they've created. I think there's two very big differences.
I think it encompasses everything, though, because you have obviously good play on the field, and you have a fan base that is, again, historically speaking, has not had a ton to be excited about over the years, that is believing a lot right now.
The fan base, and I've always felt this about South Carolina fans, they are being rewarded
for suffering.
For suffering. Now, at least it's entertaining and it's engaging.
Sure.
You don't have Lou Holtz doing his shtick. You don't have Spurrier reminding everybody that he's great.
Yeah.
And we're lucky to have him. Muschamp was Muschamp. Shane embraces all of it.
Sure.
And the fans feel like they are acknowledged now.
Yeah. No, they feel like they have a coach that cares and wants to be here.
Yeah, he wants to be here. He said he wants to retire.
But Muschamp didn't seem to care much for Columbia outside the paycheck.
Well, he God love his heart. He knew that he was in South Carolina because he wasn't good enough to cut it at Florida.
Yeah. Well, and I wasn't here at the time, but I don't know how thrilled people were that they got the retread hire that just got fired at Florida, because he was DC at Auburn in 2015. But it's we just saw what this guy could do. Why is he going to come here and be any different?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the NFL, isn't it? Or NBA, where they just
they just trade coaches.
Just trade coaches.
Or if the running gag in the NFL was, who's going to have Wade Phillips as DC this year?
But, I think I have to imagine that if he's got any kind of self-awareness at all, that Hugh Freeze is envious right now.
Probably.
Because he's a pincushion anyhow for all the stuff that happened at Ole Miss and the stuff he keeps doing.
Yeah, well, now he's golfing too much.
Too much.
By the way, we've passed August 1st. Have they shot up to the top 10 in recruiting yet? Because they were supposed to.
They were hot.
They were supposed to. They were supposed to.
I don't think that's happened quite yet. Sark doesn't care. Kalen DeBoer is just trying to keep his head above water. He doesn't care.
And look, what Sark's doing there, they are achieving. He doesn't have to look at South Carolina
Sure.
and say, oh, I wish I was doing that. Like, no, they're at the top of college football right now. Same thing with Georgia. Alabama, obviously still in that same realm, though we still don't fully know what DeBoer's Alabama is.
Here's your one. Clark Lee.
Ooh.
He wants to be Shane Beamer.
I think he would.
He wants to be Shane.
Well, and Lee doesn't have the same personality as Shane.
But he's a little more out there than some
He
guys.
is, and you'll see in the documentary on Netflix that he's a little more personable and a little more fun than I guess you would figure.
His quarterback does his talking.
He does. Like, listen, it's still crazy that Diego Pavia might be the quarterback with the most swagger in all of college football. And he's playing at Vanderbilt. We're still getting used to that.
It's pretty awesome, actually.
But yeah, God, Vanderbilt in general, just as a program, has suffered more than South Carolina has. You know, outside of the couple years with James Franklin, they really don't have a lot to hang their hat on.
But they beat Alabama last year. Look how it changed everything.
If Clark Lee never, ever wins another game at Vanderbilt,
Hang his hat on that.
they still might build him a statue for winning that game.
So, let me see. I'm right now. Okay, Clark Lee's in one bucket. Freeze is in the. I think he's definitely would love to be in that situation. Stoops would never admit it.
Yeah, Stoops.
Stoops is too stubborn to realize that he should be more like that.
Yeah, sure. I think that's fair.
Heupel's got Heupel swag. He's good. Heupel swagger. He's
and again, they're doing fine. You know, they got a little bit of a mess with the quarterback this year, but for the most part, they're in a good place, and I think they'll be one of those teams that's always good to, if not really good, on a year-in, year-out basis.
Elko doesn't care. Elko. And again, I go back a ways with Elko. Elko's all about football, man. He's a great guy.
He is.
Great guy.
I felt so bad at media days that they slotted him dead last.
He didn't give two craps.
Because,
man.
like, literally, and, you know, my show wrapped at 3, and I bounced after that because I had to drive back here. Literally, as he's talking, people are wheeling out carts of their equipment, leaving.
He could not care less.
I know he couldn't, but, like, I felt bad. I'm like, come on. The death slot should not be reserved for a team that
Did you put Lebby there?
Here comes the jokes. Win 8-4. You know what I mean?
Do you put Lebby there? Do you put? I mean, who do you put there? I mean, if I'm Billy Napier, I want that spot.
Sure. Yeah, Napier wouldn't.
If I'm Mark Stoops,
terrible.
I want that spot.
And I felt bad for Stoops as well.
No,
because
never.
he basically went up there and had to defend his job. For the 30 minutes that he talked.
Look, dude. He must have naked pictures of Mitch Barnhart to have that contract that he's got with that buyout. I know he won at Kentucky, but he's not won at Kentucky.
He snuck into the 80s office when they were, ogling the basketball team and snuck a couple extra dollars out of the cookie jar.
I wonder this. I mean, you think about him there with that buyout and how long he has been at Kentucky. And that's a school that's never been able to really. The ceiling is obvious.
Yeah,
they hit 10 wins a couple of times.
And the funny thing is, when we start to really like, oh man, Stoops is suffering, then they go out there and win 8 or 9 games, and it cools off for another year or two. Which, funny enough, seems like they'd be in line to do that this year, but I don't think they're going to. But like, he's got the best gig because you're second fiddle to basketball.
You hide.
All you have to do is be good enough to go to a bowl game. Occasionally beat a team you have no business beating every couple of years, and you're fine. And he's a top 10 paid coach because of that.
But the narrative is changing there, though, because they have put so much money into football, and because of the public spat he had with Calipari a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And now that he realizes that he's big and bad when they win 10 games, but when they've backslid, now he admits, well, we're a basketball school. Yeah. He literally said that.
And here's my thing, too, because if you ask me, is Mark Stoops going to be coaching in Kentucky in 5 years? Absolutely not. I think they're eventually going to get sick of him, and they're going to fire him no matter what the buyout is. That becomes an undesirable job because basketball is always going to get precedent. Would they rather pay $3 million for a quarterback or $3 million for a point guard? It's going to be point guard every time.
Okay, but I want to throw this at you, and I don't know what time our next break is, but we can discuss.
1:30. We're almost there. We can carry this over to the other side.
SEC basketball.
Yes.
Is the equivalent of Kentucky football with regards to the coaches.
Yes.
And here's how. SEC basketball has thrived because every single coach at the schools, except for a Calipari, perhaps a Bruce Pearl, know their role.
Yes.
They're good coaches. They're not going anywhere. They win, but they know that they are the omega to the alpha football.
Yes. And they can still be successful, which they are.
Absolutely.
Florida just won the national championship.
There's not a better fit in America for a coach at a school than Nate Oates.
Yes.
Or at Alabama.
Yeah.
There's not a better fit.
Yeah.
Flip the script at Kentucky. You can't have ego as coach. You can't.
Yeah.
At football coach.
Sure.
When Stoops started having an ego is when things started to tank.
Yeah.
When he got into it with Cal, I'm telling you, that he did it to himself.
He started to bite the hand that was feeding him.
And he started worrying about Shane Beamer.
Be thankful for what we give you and allow you to coach here and shut up.
Otherwise,
basically.
it's a fantastic job. Go in, win 8-9 games. Don't get arrested. Don't be hanging out with cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Don't do anything stupid. Beat Louisville every now and then. God help you try to beat Tennessee, and you will be set for life.
Yeah.
That's how he's made it this long. But when he started feeling good about himself a little too much.
So let's compile our full list on the other side of coaches and programs envious of what's happening here at South Carolina. That's coming up next. Halftime show. Tyler and Scott here on The Game. All right, welcome back in. It is the halftime show. Tyler Head and Scott Hamilton hanging out with you on your Monday. I don't know what day of the week it is. You use 6 hours of radio a day.
Is it Monday?
I lose track of the show name. I lose track of the day of the week. I lose track of the time.
When's your birthday?
June.
What, 12th?
You trying to get my information now?
When's your birthday?
It is the 12th, actually.
That's my dad's.
Is it? Wow.
What's your social security number? Give me the last four.
I'm not going that far. You don't want my identity.
I don't know.
Just saying. You don't want to be me.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a lot of power around here. I mean, Terry Ford comes in, the alleged Grand Poobah, but we know who the real puppet master is.
Well,
it's Tyler.
Who do you think cuts all the audio?
You have the power.
Who do you think puts the show together for 9 to 3 every single day? That's me.
What does he do?
He's the PD. He's listening to us, so I can't.
Right now?
I can't give you all the details.
He doesn't hear me if I whisper.
Well, he can hear me say that this Game Summer Golf Classic is coming up on August 22nd. That's a week from Friday. Again, Charwood Golf Club, West Columbia. We want to see you there. Tee times at 9. Registration starts at 7:30. Onion sausages for breakfast, mimosa bar from Saki's Wine and Spirits, and Firehouse Subs for lunch. They're going to have prizes. The golf gun is back, and more. It's also presented by our partners over at Krager Showroom, which is formerly the Nest over in the Vista.
I have a question. What's a golf gun?
Can I give the number real quick for people to
3
call?
times.
They want to sign up.
3 times. Then tell me what the golf gun is.
Game Summer Golf Classic presented by Krager Showrooms. If you want to sign up, give Charwood a call at 803-755-2000. $400 for a team to sign up, 803-755-2000, and press the number 2. Your question.
What's the number again?
803-755-2000. Press the number 2.
Old school. You got to do it 3 times.
Yes.
What's a golf gun?
It is a gun that shoots golf balls.
Why would I want that?
It's easier than driving.
Oh, wait. You actually use it on the course?
You can use it on the course.
Get out.
Yeah.
I want that very much.
We'll sign up for the Game Summer Golf Classic, and you can do it.
Okay, what are the restrictions for this? I mean, are you allowed to use it every hole?
Listen, I've not got to personally use it myself.
Dude, this is great.
It's a real thing. I forget. Terry can tell you how far it launches the thing.
Terry Ford, come in here.
Terry's used it.
I want to know about this. If anybody knows, call and hit me up on X at Scott Hamilton PC.
Oh, you're not locked out anymore?
No, I got a new one, remember?
Okay, yeah.
I sent the tweet earlier. It had you in it. Yeah. Golf gun. Now, can you... Dude, is this what it looks like? It looks like an assault rifle?
I can't remember exactly what it looks like, but something along those lines that, yes, shoots the golf ball.
Up to 600 yards.
Yeah,
sounds like the Happy Gilmore gun.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of driving, you choose the golf gun.
Okay, does everybody have access to this golf gun?
I don't think everybody does. It is, I forget the person that owns it there, but it is a round, and you can at least see it being used. I
want to play in this event now.
Call 803-755-2000 and press the number 2 to sign up, and you can play in it.
I think I will.
A week from Friday. Clear your calendar.
I'm legit looking. Because this sounds like the most awesome thing I've ever heard in my life.
Anyways.
The hillbilly in me comes out when I think about a golf gun.
Getting back to our last conversation about you're envious of this golf gun. Well, a lot of programs are envious about South Carolina right now. Just transition Radio Pro here. If we're compiling our list, so we agreed Mark Stoops in Kentucky, envious of Carolina.
But he never admitted it.
He'd never admit it. Hugh Freeze, we're going to go with that one.
Drink wants to play keep up.
Drink
is close,
but they're being successful on the field. So they're not envious of what the results. They didn't get as close to the playoff last year.
But
I don't think they're as envious of the results necessarily.
But he likes the attention.
He does like the attention. Did I tell you about? I gave him the fist bump at media days.
No.
Because you heard his media day spiel where he was taking shots and talking about the files and all that kind of stuff. And he walked by my table doing the show, and I said, "Hey, you're a quote machine," and gave him a fist bump, and he seemed to enjoy that.
Thanks, man.
He likes the attention.
My favorite was the one against Dan Mullen.
Yeah. When you had the Darth Vader put his hood up.
That was pretty good.
He stands on business to Josh Heupel.
I got no problem. I got no problem with drinking in 1 year at Appalachian State.
I don't know if I'd say they're envious though.
It's just keep up. He wants to play keep up. He wants to not fall behind in that game.
But I think that's kind of like looking across the aisle at each other. Like, all right, we're kind of on similar wavelengths here. Yeah, I don't want to fall behind you, but I don't know if it's like envious necessarily.
Okay, fair. Levy's got other problems.
Levy's got a lot. God bless Jeff Levy. He's got a lot of work to do, and they'll be patient, right? Like they need to be.
Well, they have so much goodwill from the way Leach went out on us.
And the Arnett thing was a mistake from the get-go.
That was grasping for continuity.
And they won the bowl game, but like that guy was not cut out to be a head coach.
No, those were extreme circumstances, and I felt bad for him.
I did too.
That was a no-win situation.
He could have very likely been the defensive coordinator there for several more years, and maybe would have been ready to be a head coach years down the line. But being thrust into that role with and then trying to change the offense, it didn't work.
No. Who what was it? Will Rogers was the quarterback.
It was, yeah.
That was down in Tampa, the bowl game.
Yeah, the year before, because they had the pirate thing on their helmets. But yeah, like Mississippi State's envious of everybody at this point in the conference.
Georgia doesn't care. Kirby does not care.
No, Kirby doesn't care. Sark doesn't care.
Brian Kelly. Why don't you like me?
Does Brian Kelly want to be liked, though, is my question. Does he actually care what people think of him?
I don't think he has any self-awareness.
Yeah, probably not. And
there's that accent. There's no way he has any self-awareness.
Family.
I still get just so angry thinking about that. He has no self-awareness. And the stripping.
That as well. I feel like he wishes he could be more player-friendly, maybe. He just doesn't know how to do it. So maybe he's envious of that part of Beamer's personality.
It's like in Step Brothers when Will Ferrell and his brother were hugging at the end, and it was all awkward and weird. Yeah. It's
that
Brian
kind of thing.
Kelly.
Like, and again, I've only met Shane on a handful of occasions, but I feel like I could have a conversation with him and he would be able to relate to someone my age and what's going on in my world and that kind of stuff. Brian Kelly, I don't think he could do that. I think he would need a cheat sheet that he's constantly looking at like, yeah, wow, how about those memes,
Here we go. That play was so mid.
Yeah, wow. Our game was dope, was it not? Yeah, those kind of things. Like I feel like there's that disconnect there that he might be envious.
These players today are too bougie.
Yeah.
You like when I drop these words, don't you? See how I relate to your generation?
You do. I've
been working on it.
You're doing pretty good.
Anyway, back to this. Billy Napier.
I think the personality-wise, yes, definitely envious. The results, he's underachieved. And again, we're off his back at the moment because they ended last year strong. But as I've said all offseason, let him go 3-and-out in their first game against LIU, and they'll be calling for his head immediately.
Well, Lagway, and I think Brett McMurphy had them number 6 in the country.
And look, I like Lagway a lot. I was very impressed by his physical stature at media days. And if he's healthy, I think they can be a good team.
That's the question.
But if he's not healthy, and it's obviously not looking good right now, already nicked up before the season even starts, like he could end up being one of those great what-ifs in college football of like, man, if that guy never got hurt, what could have his career could have been if the trend continues?
It was John Wilner. I apologize. John Wilner has them 6th in the country.
I don't know about that.
That's a reach, brother.
That is quite a reach.
That is a reach. I had them, I think, 20th. And again, if there's no Lagway, I don't even have them top 25.
Yeah, no, Lagway is everything to that team right now.
Who have we forgotten? I think we hit. Brett Venables.
Ooh, yeah. I think on both fronts, probably.
I think so.
Yeah.
Similar situation to Billy Napier.
Definitely so, and his seat is red hot. I do think they'll be better than last year. It's not hard to be better than what they were last year. Everybody's drinking the Mateer Kool-Aid.
I am drinking it.
I need to see it, but I lean towards he's probably going to be pretty good.
But the quarterback wasn't the problem. It was the offensive line.
It was,
and people aren't talking about that enough. And I know he's a good quarterback. He looked great at, what was it, Washington State?
Wazoo, yep.
And he's bringing his OC with him.
Bring his OC.
But it does no good if you're running for your life or you're on back.
Yeah.
If you're on your back, you can't forget it.
Yeah, last year all their receivers were hurt too. Also didn't help Jackson Arnold and Michael Hawkins Jr.
See, that's another guy, Jackson Arnold.
Yep.
Where is he resurfaced? Auburn?
Auburn, yeah.
Auburn, yeah, he's a Hugh Freeze guy.
And that's the thing. Auburn better hope the offensive line was the problem last year, and it wasn't actually him, because all those eggs are in that basket right now. They got Deuce Knight as a backup, which they'll turn him if they need to, I guess. But, Freeze, that seat's pretty hot.
I broke down, then it'll be in my column in the Post and Courier later this week. I go over my ballot a little deeper, and a lot of stuff we've discussed here.
Yeah.
12 of the top 25 new quarterbacks.
Yep.
12.
A lot of turnover.
A lot of turnover at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Speaking of the top 25. I have one question for you before we let you go.
Oh.
That will hit on the other side of who might not be ranked when the season's over. We'll hit that coming up next. It is the halftime show. Tyler and Scott Hamilton on your Monday on the game. Welcome back in. It is the halftime show. Tyler Head, Scott Hamilton hanging out for a couple more minutes here on your Monday afternoon. Again, talking a lot about the AP poll that released right at about 12 o'clock earlier on today. And we've gone over where Carolina is. I'll get back into a lot more of that coming up top of the hour. But I do want to pose one more question to you because I believe you said you agreed with all the teams in the top 10, just not necessarily in the order that they were put in. In 19 of the past 21 seasons, a team ranked in, at least one team ranked in the top 10 in the preseason poll, ended the year unranked. So if you're choosing one team out of that top 10 that will end the season without a number next to their name, who's it going to be?
Ooh. That's a good question. Because
again, like a lot of these teams have quarterback questions.
I lean towards Miami.
Okay.
We just, Miami can't get out of its own way. We don't know completely about Carson Beck, elbow-wise.
Yep.
I mean, that injury was not great, dude.
Nope, and he spent most of the offseason not doing anything.
Not throwing a football.
Because he was recovering.
We know that. I mean, Penn State, I think, is too talented to fall off a cliff. Ohio State, Clemson, I mean, but if I were to have to pick one to not be, I think they'll be ranked just because the ACC, again, is so weak. But if there was a team to take the biggest tumble, it would be Miami.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. And again, they're literally on the fringe. They're number 10. And again, the Carson Beck thing coming off an injury, you just never know how somebody's going to be. And last year, his decision-making, look, he was not helped because Georgia was dropping passes left and right. But his decision-making at times was just completely erratic. I don't know if he got the Heisman and first-round hype in his head and just couldn't compartmentalize anymore. But I've never seen somebody do a complete 180 one year to the next of looking like a potential first-round pick to just not the next year.
It's funny, too, because, like, ability-wise, skill-wise, you look at, his measurables and all that, he was nothing, or he was exponentially better than his predecessor.
Yeah.
Who happened to win a couple of national titles.
Yeah, no. Carson Beck is a lot more pro-made than Stetson Bennett was.
But Bennett was just built different, man.
Bennett had the winning gene. You can't teach that. You just either have it or you don't. He knew how to lead the team to comebacks and win, which he did multiple times, including in the postseason.
That was a fascinating quarterback room during the Stetson Bennett time. And
no doubt.
You had Clownhead that ended up at West Virginia, had been at Southern Cal. Who was it? I'm already forgetting his name.
Daniels.
J.T. Daniels.
He ended his career at Rice.
Is he finally done?
Yeah, he finally retired because of concussions. But you had him. You had DeJuan Mathis. You had the Jamie Newman thing.
Jaden Rashada,
who's there last year.
That was last
year. He transferred out again.
Now, where's he now? Like Sam Houston State or somewhere?
I honestly
Sacramento State. He's at Sacramento.
Probably.
I want to say. I'll look that up. But that guy.
A former Florida quarterback who went to Arizona State.
Plaintiff in a lawsuit in Florida.
Who went to Georgia, is now at Sacramento State, I guess.
He is at Sacramento State. And he's still suing Billy Napier in Florida over that whole NIL deal.
Yes.
Which was in the early days of NIL.
Yes, the early days of it, because that was December of 22, I want to say.
Yep, it was.
When that happened.
He was there a month.
Yes.
Because he decommitted from Miami.
Right, because Miami was promising him a bag. Then Florida promised him a bag, and he went there, and they're like, oh, actually, we don't have the full bag.
We don't have a
bag.
bag.
He's like, well, I'm gone, and I'll see you in court.
And he goes to Arizona. No, he came from Arizona State.
He went to Arizona State after Florida.
You know who else is around? Kansas quarterback, Jalen Daniels.
Yeah, Jalen Daniels, because he got hurt last year.
He's been around for like 12 years.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Lance Leipold's done a really good job with that program.
Great.
But last year, Jalen Daniels was hurt, and that certainly affected him. And look, the Big 12 is wide open as it is. If he's healthy, they got a shot.
I'm a big Lance Leipold guy. I'm a big I'm at a loss. Chris Kleiman guy. I'm looking now at the Big 12, and I'm trying to count how many teams they have. They have no teams. Arizona State is the highest rated team in the preseason top 25. Then you got Kansas State at 17. That's two. Iowa State at 22, that's 3. Texas Tech at 23, that's 4. By the way, the first time Texas Tech has been ranked since, I believe, I've got it written down here, 2017.
We don't have time for this today. Tomorrow, I want us to take a harder look at Texas Tech because I'm not sure I'm buying the hype.
I'm glad you said that, Tyler. That is a column I had later in the week.
I had this idea in my head for today. I bumped it to tomorrow, but we are going to talk about that.
They have 4 in the top 25. But then the next 3 other receiving votes, BYU, Utah, Baylor.
Yeah, because it's a wide-open conference. Half the teams in the league were in contention with like 2 weeks to go in the regular season last year.
That's why they stopped having a preseason poll.
Yeah, because they don't want to
set perception. Because you don't know.
Yeah, because they don't say, oh, well, I think Kansas State's going to be the worst team. Well, I'm not going to put them in my top 25. No, I get why they did it. I don't know if it's going to work or not, because I still think they're probably going to end up being a one-bid league anyway.
Wasn't Arizona State picked to be last
Yeah,
year?
last year. Dead last.
All right, now.
And that's why, because they had to claw. Now, again, they won the conference, so it didn't really matter where they were ranked, but they had to claw their way up and end up being a top 4 seed because of how ridiculous we were doing the seeding at that point.
That was clown show with the seeding.
We've at least corrected that.
Now, I am bouncing.
Yes.
Everybody follow me on Twitter/X. That's
big
Scott
things
Hamilton
happening
PC.
within the next hour.
We've got a media conference, press conference over at Williams-Brice at 3 o'clock. There's a big announcement happening over there.
And we will talk about that tomorrow.
And I will be back here tomorrow.
Yes.
And then are you good for the next hour?
I'm good. I got the AP poll. We talked to Greg McElroy earlier on today. I'm good.
All right.
I'm set.
I didn't break anything.
I do this every day.
I learned how to turn my mic off, how to work the little streamy thing.
Ed Bird, he's coming for your job. Be careful.
And Terry Ford brought me good coffee. McDonald's.
We'll see you tomorrow. Hour number 3 on the way. Welcome back in. It is the halftime show. Tyler Head, Ed Bird along with you here on your Monday on the game. Scott Hamilton had to bounce again. Some big news happening over at the stadium coming up in about an hour. So keep tuned to social media for all that. And we will, certainly talk about that coming up tomorrow when Scott rejoins us for the show once again. But of course, news of the day today revolving around the AP poll coming out about 2 hours ago. And again, as I've said many times, the AP poll at the end of the day doesn't technically matter. I am somebody that has believed we don't really need an AP poll anymore, but I get it. We always have to have some kind of rankings, and the AP poll allows us to have numbers next to names for at least the first 2/3 of the regular season until the college football playoff polls take over at the beginning of November, typically, or late October, whenever, depending on how the calendar falls. But I also don't deny that the AP poll does have an influence on those rankings that do matter when they come up later on in the year. So being in the AP top 25 to start the year is a really, really positive thing, because you don't have to claw your way up quite as much, right? Like if Carolina, who, by the way, is number 13 in the AP poll, if Carolina wins, the first 5 games of the regular season, as we think they have a shot at doing before taking on LSU coming up in October, you could really be looking at South Carolina being a top 10 team, as opposed to if they started off the year unranked, won those first 5 games, then they might not even enter the top 25 by that 5th win. But again, it's your starting point. And again, when you're talking about, especially as razor thin as the margins were last year in terms of teams making the playoff and missing the playoff, where you start in the poll and not having to climb as far to get yourself into that realm when it comes to the college ball playoff, go a long way. It can really make a difference. And good to see South Carolina being in even higher than I thought. I thought they were going to be like 15th, right? I thought that was a pretty safe bet. But I knew somewhere between like 12th and 20th. But 13, very solid. Again, first time in over a decade. 2014, last time South Carolina ranked in the preseason AP poll. To no surprise, we know that Carolina has one of the toughest schedules in the entire country, and you're going to see a lot of ranked teams this upcoming year. Go down the list here. You will see number 4 Clemson. You will see number 8 Alabama. You'll see number 9 LSU. You will see number 18 Oklahoma. You'll see number 19 Texas A&M. You will see number 21 in Ole Miss. All those teams in the top 25 are on South Carolina's schedule this year. Now, that doesn't mean those games are impossible by any means, even for the teams that are ranked ahead of you, because we don't know a lot about a lot of these teams. Clemson's probably the team out of everybody in college football, quite frankly. Clemson at number 4 is probably the team we know the most about just because they pretty much returned everybody. They're number 1 in the, returning production metric from Bill Connolly in the S&P Plus in the offseason. So we basically know what that team is because it's pretty much the same from last year, basically. But everybody else outside of that, Alabama, what's their quarterback situation? LSU, how good are they going to be on defense? They were better last year than they were the year before, but still some room for improvement. Oklahoma, how's their entire team going to be, right? It's not just Mateer at quarterback, it's offensive line. Is their defense going to be as good as it was a year ago despite losing some key guys? A&M, are they going to be another 8-4-ish average type of team from a year ago? Ole Miss, how are you replacing Jackson Dart? And a lot of talent, Trey Harris, those kind of guys. Not to mention guys on defense, right? They replaced pretty much their entire defense, if I'm thinking correctly. All these teams have questions. And Carolina's going to have to face a lot of teams with rankings next to them at some point, as the season goes along, Virginia Tech will not be one of those in week number 1, which is good, I guess. It's good that Carolina finally got over the hump of losing to ranked teams a year ago by beating A&M and obviously proceeding to beat Missouri and then Clemson in the stretch of those final 6 games of the regular season last year, which propelled them into a position to be in consideration for the college football playoff. So once again, got to face a lot of teams that are going to be a challenge this upcoming year. No surprise, Texas ends up being number 1. I think that was something you probably could have guessed a long time ago. Obviously, and it's not just for arch hype, right? Like, that's a team that's talented across the board. A lot of transfers and stuff like that, but, their team past 2 years has been on the cusp of making the national championship, just come up a little bit short. And Arch Manning doesn't even have to be a superstar, right? He just has to be good enough. If he can be maybe even just slightly better than Quinn Ewers, then Texas can still win the national championship. But you look at, and we've talked a lot this offseason, much like we did a year ago when it came to Ohio State, that Texas, by all accounts, seems to have the most expensive roster in all of college football, depending on what number you believe, 25, 35, $40 million, whatever. They've acquired a lot of talent and spent a lot of money on said talent to get them in this position. By the way, first ever preseason number 1 ranking for the Texas Longhorns, which is crazy to think about for a program that's had as much success as that one has had. Penn State's at number 2. Now, I personally thought that we might see Ohio State there because it sets up the ability to have number 1 versus number 2 in week number 1 of the regular season. I'm sure the Fox executives would have loved to have seen that, right? But they chose not to do that. Ohio State is 3, which I'll get to them here coming up in a second. But Penn State, I think, makes a lot of sense as number 2. And if I was making the AP poll, which I'm not a voter, but if I was making an AP top 25, I'd probably have them at number 2 because they returned Drew Aller, returned a lot of production, both sides of the ball. Nicholas Singleton, Katron Allen, the dual running backs there. Yeah, you lose Tyler Warren at tight end. Yeah, you lose Abdul Carter coming off the edge. 2 crazy good talents that are obviously going to have successful careers in the NFL. But, that's a team that's still positioned pretty well. And I've said this many times already. If James Franklin and Penn State can't win a national championship this year, then I don't think they ever will. Because it almost seems perfect, right? When you look at, let's just look at the top 10, right? Texas, replacing a quarterback. Ohio State, replacing a quarterback. Georgia, replacing a quarterback. Notre Dame, replacing a quarterback. Oregon, replacing a quarterback. Alabama, replacing a quarterback. Miami, replacing a quarterback. All those teams in the top of the AP poll, all replacing the most important position. And for some of them, some pretty darn significant quarterbacks being replaced here. Oregon with, Dylan Gabriel. Alabama with Jalen Milroe. Notre Dame with Riley Leonard. We don't know what CJ Carr is going to be. So you have so much turnover at the most important spot, and Penn State is one of the few teams at the top that has their guy back. And Drew Aller took a significant step forward last year compared to the 2023 season, and you assume that he's only going to get better this upcoming year. So they seem to be primed as anybody to maybe make this their year. They also got to get over the hump of, beating the Ohio States and the Michigans of the world. And now I guess you got to factor in Oregon as well, because they just haven't been able to beat that upper echelon team in college football or in the Big Ten when they matched up against them, say for, 2016 when they did beat Ohio State and win the Big Ten championship, despite getting left out of the, college football playoff. Scott and I talked about this at the end of that last segment. So in 19 of the past 21 seasons, there's been at least one team ranked in the top 10 in the preseason poll that ends the season unranked. And I think Miami does have the best opportunity to be that team, sitting at number 10. Of course, a lot of that focal point goes around Carson Beck, who's replacing Cam Ward, who ended up being the number 1 overall pick. And for a lot of people, somebody that they may have considered to be the Heisman favorite for a good majority of the season last year. Didn't end up winning, but obviously ended up still being the number 1 pick at the end of the day. But, man, when you look at what Miami is losing from a season ago, it's a completely different roster. So you lose your lead rusher. You lose Cam Ward, your quarterback. You lose 1, 2, 3, 4. You lose your top 6 pass catchers on this team. You lose all but one of your top 7 tacklers from a year ago. Like, this team, look, Miami has a lot of money. Miami has the ability to go out and get talent. But man, that's a tough roster turnover for a team that in and of itself underachieved last year. They seemed tailor-made to win the ACC and make the college ball playoff, and they slipped up and couldn't do that. You have the injury to Carson Beck he's coming off of. He spent most of the offseason not even doing football stuff because he's recovering from the injury that he suffered in the SEC championship game while playing for Georgia. Oh, not to mention the fact that his last year at Georgia was pretty disappointing, all things considered, because he made a ton of boneheaded mistakes, threw interceptions, all those kind of things. I just don't know. I don't know if I believe Miami. Now, Mario Cristobal is a good coach. Mario Cristobal is not a great or an elite coach, and let's be honest, we haven't forgot about some of the boneheaded decisions he's made that's cost them games. Out of everybody in the top 10, I'm the least, I believe the least in Miami, right? Now, yeah, could Notre Dame really tumble back down to earth after the season they had a year ago? Sure. Could an Alabama, with its questions at quarterback, end up being mediocre? Sure. But I look squarely at Miami as that team that I just don't have enough faith in right now. If I had to pick one team, I'm not saying they're going to, but if I had to pick one team that I think could drop out of the rankings, be in the top 10, it would probably be the Miami Hurricanes. It's going to be interesting to see how much this shifts as the season goes along. Because, look, there's a lot of teams, and you look at 14 and 15 with Michigan at 14, Florida at 15, Oklahoma at 18, where so much the perception around them is how successful can your quarterback be. Bryce Underwood at Michigan, who's getting paid handsomely. DJ Lagway at Florida. John Mateer at Oklahoma. A lot of this team's success is tied up in how good your quarterback at that respective school can be. Can they stay healthy as well? Because, again, Lagway's already been banged up this offseason. Shoulder injury back in spring practice. It was in the walking boot at the start of camp the other week. A lot of things going on with him I like Lagway as a player, and you like what you've seen out of him for a personality standpoint wise as well in the SEC Any Given Saturday documentary. But I don't like the injury history, and I feel like that's something that could continue to crop up and honestly hold Florida back from how good they could be if he stayed fully healthy. Same thing with, Oklahoma and Mateer. We think he's going to be pretty good, but we still got to see it. Bryce Underwood is a true freshman. Yeah, he's getting paid handsomely. Yeah, he was the top quarterback in the class and all those kind of things, but we've seen plenty of guys come in as the next this, the next that, the next Heisman Trophy winner, number 1 overall pick, and fall flat on their face. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but, man, they are putting a lot of eggs in the Bryce Underwood basket for this upcoming season, and he's not the only reason they're ranked 14th, but that goes a long way in people's perception of what this program can end up being. So we'll see. But again, Carolina number 13 in the preseason AP poll, which again, it's just nice to be ranked somewhere, even higher than what a lot of people thought they were going to be ranked, as they try and replicate the magic, if not improve on what they did from a season ago. So we'll see. Again, first game in 20 days against Virginia Tech. Coming up next, we'll take a look around the NFL and the weekend that was in the preseason, hit some of the headlines as the halftime show rolls along. It's our head, Ed Bird, on the other side of the glass on your Monday on the Game. Welcome back in. It is the halftime show. Tyler Head and Ed Bird along with you here on your Monday on the Game. I'll remind you once again, the Game's Summer Golf Classic is coming up 1 week from this Friday over at Charwood Golf Club in West Columbia. We obviously want to see you out there. Registration is at 7:30 for a 9 a.m. tee time. Going to have the onion sausages again for breakfast, which I ate a lot of last year. Mimosa bar from Saki's Wine and Spirits also there, as well as Firehouse Subs providing lunch that day too. We're going to have prizes, and the golf gun makes its return as well. We want to see you out there. $400 for a team. Call Charwood at 803-755-2000. Press the number 2 to sign up. Again, that's 803-755-2000. And press the number 2 to sign up. This is all presented by our friends over at Krager's Showroom, formerly The Nest, over in the Vista. So over the weekend, we had the first full weekend of NFL preseason action after the Hall of Fame game, the week prior, which take of that what you will. But we did finally get to see some of the young stars make their NFL debuts, even though it doesn't count. But perhaps there weren't eyes on anyone more than Shedeur Sanders right up the road in Charlotte as the Browns came to Carolina, take on the Panthers on Friday night. Cut number 3 here, Ed. This is Shedeur Sanders assessing his preseason debut.
Overall, I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the opportunity first. I'm thankful for being able to look in all those and every player that was out there participating eyes and tell them this is a family. We gotta change. You gotta know. So me coming here, my vow is to definitely make change, and change was made. I was very thankful, very excited being out there. Being out there with the O-line and everything like that, I was so thankful being out there with them receivers. Everybody did their part, and I feel like everybody believed.
So Shedeur, statistics-wise, very solid game, 14 of 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also ran for 19 yards as well on 4 different carries, and again, he looked good. There's a lot of people that are maybe making too much of this because it is just a preseason game. But look, I believe Shedeur Sanders, and I believe that when he was in college, that he had the ability to play at the next level based on what I saw. Obviously, he had the drama with the draft, him falling to the 5th round and all those kind of things, but I've never doubted his ability to play in the NFL, and you see that on display the other night. What worries me about him is the fact that he's with the worst organization to be a quarterback in, that is the Cleveland Browns. There's a reason why that famous Browns jersey has 50 quarterbacks on it since they rejoined the NFL back at the end of the 1990s as the Cleveland Browns. They just, for whatever reason, doesn't matter the coach, doesn't matter who the quarterback is, they just can't get this position right. And they've already got a loaded quarterback room in terms of numbers with Flacco and Pickett and Dylan Gabriel. Obviously, Deshaun Watson not going to play this year, and Shedeur. But, Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett were injured last week, so they didn't get to play. And Joe Flacco is 40-something at this point, and Deshaun Watson's not going to play this year. So the numbers have dwindled down quite a bit. And, look, I fully expect Joe Flacco to start the first handful of games, but at some point this year, they're going to turn the reins over to Shedeur Sanders. And we'll see how that goes. Again, I'm always been in the camp of let the guy go out there and learn, because I think benching someone after playing them affects their psyche. Now, again, guys like Bryce Young can bounce back from that, but I just say ride with them. But I am worried that just the history of what the Browns have done to quarterbacks can hinder what Shedeur's success in the NFL can be. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's finally the guy that goes out there and turns it around. And, again, what you saw on Friday night in his preseason debut was what you hope to see, right? He looked good, looked solid, and kind of see where that goes from there in terms of what Shedeur is going to do in year number 1 in the league. One quarterback, though, that his hype kind of took a left turn, as it always does in the preseason, is one Joe Milton. Can I get cut numbers 5 and 6 back to back here, please, Ed?
And he was after it.
Milton deep drop.
On the line, oh my gosh.
Overshot. 2nd down and 7 off play action. Joe Milton avoids the initial rush. Now heaves deep down the middle. And
oh wow, great play by the
intercepted. Cam Lampkin took it away. It'll be a touchback.
Look at that.
such a great job by Cam Lampkin staying in phase all the way down the field.
So that was 2 plays of Joe Milton playing for the Cowboys now as a backup to Dak Prescott, overthrowing a receiver pretty egregiously and then throwing an interception on a deep ball into the end zone against the Rams. It's funny to me, and I call it Joe Milton mania, because every single offseason in the camp leading up to the start of the year, there's always that clip, right? And I saw it last week, too. Last week, there was a clip out of Cowboys camp of Joe Milton throwing this laser to one of the receivers, and everybody's like, oh, man, look at this Joe Milton guy. He's got a strong arm. Watch out, Dak. Said the same thing when he was in New England. Watch out, Mac Jones. This guy's coming for your job. And then he goes out there and does that in the preseason, where he just looks wildly inaccurate and can't control the bazooka that he has attached to his shoulder. So, again, welcome to your yearly edition of Milton Mania running wild, as I don't think Dak Prescott is worried about losing his job anytime soon to Joe Milton. This was pretty cool as well. Can I get cut number 1 here, Ed?
Drill the ball.
Holy smokes. They got a shot.
He just kicked a 70-yard field goal. Are you kidding me?
Crazy.
I've never seen that. The NFL record. That would be an NFL record.
In the first half. Holy smokes.
That's unbelievable.
So Cam Little of the Jacksonville Jaguars nails a 70-yard field goal going into halftime of their preseason game the other day, which, as you heard, would be an NFL record because the previous record was 66 yards by Justin Tucker back in 2021. It just doesn't count because it's the preseason. Now, and again, they only did that because time was running out. They had 1 play for halftime. So, yeah, why not? See if he can make it. I imagine the Jaguars may be the only team attempting field goals from the opposite side of the 50, right? Because to make that kick, you're lining up. The ball is being spotted at the opposite 40-yard line and being kicked that far, which credit him for doing it. And I'm interested to see how often the Jaguars try some of these long field goals because, hey, if you can make it there, why not? Give it a shot. Jaguars got nothing to lose, I guess, but that was interesting to see over the weekend. Unfortunately for him, it does not count because it was, unfortunately, in a preseason game. Which has some looking at the list of unofficial records, which, by the way, it clears unofficial records, too. Even in the preseason, the record was 66 yards by Brandon Aubrey back in last season, actually. But, yeah, wow, Cam Little, 70 yards for the Jaguars the other day. That, unfortunately for him, does not count. Earlier on this morning, myself, Wes Mitchell, and Chris Clark spoke with Greg McElroy of Jocks FM and the ESPN SC Network on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. You'll hear that conversation coming up next on the halftime show here on the game. Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West, Chris, along with you here on your Monday, counting down the days until the season starts. Only 20 days until Carolina and Virginia Tech square off in week number 1. To talk about the Gamecocks and all of college football from our sister station, Jocks FM out in Birmingham, as well as the ESPN and SEC network, is Greg McElroy joining us now on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Greg, first of all, appreciate you taking your time. You know you're a busy guy. How are we doing today?
I'm good, boys. Took my kids over to the Braves game yesterday. I don't usually have any cold beer on Sunday, and the fact that I had 2, I'm feeling it today. So I'm playing hurt, you know. I'm telling them I'm getting a little older, and it's a little unfortunate to acknowledge your own humanity, because I'm struggling today, boys. I'm struggling. Hope y'all are doing better than me.
You probably had an entire section to yourself at the Braves game yesterday, huh?
There were a few people around us. It was actually pretty funny. We were sitting right behind Clay Travis. So
okay.
Like there were a bunch of folks. There were a bunch of folks in the stands. We had a 1:30 game. It was fun to watch. Man, I hadn't taken them all year, so it's fun to get out there. And they start school tomorrow, so good way to finish up the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Football right around the corner, of course, as I mentioned a moment ago. 20 days from Carolina and VT squaring off in week number 1. When you look at this matchup, what are you looking to see from Carolina in that first game of the season?
You know, I mean, I think more than anything else, it's the same thing that I think everybody's kind of curious about. One, all the new face they have on defense. There was a lot of production lost off last year's team, a lot of leadership lost off last year's team. So I'm real curious to see how they handle Kyron Drones, who at Virginia Tech had a bit of a down year last year, but the talent is there. I mean, the guy's super dynamic, and they have a lot of new pieces as well. So I think it's going to be a game in which both teams are kind of chasing some ghosts. Just because of the personnel and the turnover. So I'm really curious to see how the defensive pieces kind of gel together. And then I'm real curious to see how much the wideouts have improved. I mean, that's really the two things. Like, I feel great about Lenoris and his development. I think the offensive line is going to be just fine. I think they'll be able to pound the ball. I still believe that. I think they're going to be committed to running the football. That's not going to change, even though it's going to be a little bit different workhorse back this year. But the wideouts, I think, are the group that could take this team from where they were last year offensively to a top tier offense in the SEC if it all goes according to plan. So those are kind of the two things that I'm most curious about with the Gamecocks this season.
Hey, Greg, I appreciate you joining us and playing hurt today, man. I saw you you kind of reshared on your Twitter a post you had made back in May just talking about kind of Beamer Ball 2.0 and the next step for this program. Take us through kind of what you want to see from Lenoris Sellers going into year 2 as a starter, being a former quarterback. What do you think are the little sort of just details that will help him become a better overall player this season?
Well, I think he obviously did an amazing job last year, right? I mean, even what my expectations were for him last year, I think he far surpassed just about everything that you could imagine. But you saw over the course of the season the confidence starting to grow. And I think that confidence is now carried over into the offseason. Clearly he has, much like transcendent players, I mean, he's going to make everyone else around him better, which I absolutely love. I think the next step of his development is to play within the confines of the system. You don't want to ever take away his playmaking ability, right? I mean, that's what he does as well as anybody in the sport. The playmaking ability stands apart. I mean, he could be one of the best playmakers just in all of college football. But I think doing the little things and operating from the pocket is the next step of his development. Last year, I mean, he was impossible to tackle him. Just watch the Clemson game by itself. I mean, like, guys just bounced off him. They couldn't get him to the ground. It was amazing. But now winning from the pocket and being methodical is kind of the next step. He's still going to have those superhuman attributes. We know that. That's not going away. But if he can kind of carve you up by just standing back there and delivering the ball and not necessarily opening himself up to unnecessary contact, that'd be amazing. Because last year when he got banged up, I mean, South Carolina was a completely different team. You know, and when he was playing a couple games with a bummed ankle, I mean, they changed a little bit. And when he got healthier and got better, things really got going for him as the season went along. So I think just...
Well, I'll have to get Greg back on the line there. He may have hit a off button on us, but...
sounded like a great point he was about to make,
He
though.
was.
We'll let Tyler try to dial back out there. Dang, he was on a roll for a guy who's playing hurt.
Well, I was going to tell him that I mean, his tally, I'm surprised it was that low to watch the Braves. Did they win yesterday, Wes?
You know, man, my fandom has.
Golly, this really bad now.
I am I gotta say, I've not been being a very good Braves fan.
Okay,
it's hard. It's hard to watch right now.
Very hard to watch.
When all your pitchers are out, then it's tough to watch, man. It really is. But they did. I'm pretty sure they did win yesterday.
Well, at least you got to see it
over the lowly Marlins.
Of course, it's fun to beat up on those guys. Disrespect intended. No, I mean, it's his point about Sellers, though, I kind of go ahead. It kind of speaks to what we were talking about, in the offseason, though, with Mike Shula, with him taking that next step of his development.
I apologize, Greg, as our phones have been acting up. You were making a good point there. We'll let you continue.
Well, I'm on hold on the other line, so I don't even. So I hope that I'm not talking in two phone lines here, but it's all good.
You're a radio guy. You understand these things happen.
Oh, believe me, yeah. If technology was batting 100,000, we'd all be in a tough spot. But looking at kind of Mike Shula, and you referenced it already, like his knowledge of that position, having played the position, having coached the position in the NFL, and brought along a similar talent, Cam Newton, in the NFL and developing him, like that's part of the reason why I'm really optimistic about what we're going to see from Lenoris this year. I mean, he just has a great quarterback coach that's going to be with him every step of the way. And he's already developed that rapport with Lenoris last year when he was serving in kind of the analyst role and focusing mostly on Lenoris's fundamentals. So I'm really optimistic about what the offense is going to look like. Like I've said all off season, though, my biggest questions for Carolina really revolves around the defensive side and just having to replace all those incredible leaders and all those incredibly productive players that they've had the last few years.
Greg, you interviewed Shane Beamer, I think, earlier this summer in May, and obviously you've been around. You got a chance to, be around him, kind of watch him build the program. You've been around a lot of, great coaches in the SEC, Nick Saban, obviously, and just want to get your thoughts just generally on, the job Shane Beamer's done and maybe some of the things that he's put into place, whether it's his personality or how he runs his program, that has helped him start to rebuild the South Carolina program. What really stands out about him, his coaching style, and how he runs his program?
Well, for me, the biggest thing with Shane is just the level of authenticity that you get. I mean, he is who he is. Like, he really is unapologetically himself, which I always really appreciate. You know what I mean? And we're around a lot of coaches, and sometimes you can tell a guy's being real, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's like, I don't know about that guy. You know what I mean? But with Shane, you always know where you stand, and you always know how he feels about his team. I think that's encouraging. I mean, we called a few of their best moments last year. We called the A&M game. We called the Kentucky game, and it's just he felt like last year they had a really good chance. And talking to him in the offseason, he goes, man, I tell you what, like our quarterback's a dude. I just don't know if he knows that yet. But we got the pieces on defense. Like we think we got a chance to be really, really good. And while for a lot of folks that went in one ear and out the other in the preseason last year, when Shane says that, he really believes it. And I think he really likes this roster. And talking to him and throughout media days and in the summer leading into media days, I mean, I think he really likes the team. He really likes the culture that they've created. And if he didn't, I think he'd tell us, I think he'd tell you, yeah, you know what? We got work to do here. We really need to clean this up. We need to clean that up. He would tell you flat out. But I just haven't gotten that vibe from him this year. I think he's real optimistic about the culture they've created, some of the building block pieces that they have offensively and defensively, and trying to kind of pick up where they left off last year. And that won't be easy. That'll be really difficult because everyone's now very aware of what South Carolina can do. But I'm pretty excited about what this team might be.
So, Greg, we got about 2 more minutes where we have to break here. Sellers is kind of in a similar spot to what you were when you went into your second year as a starter, having most of your same receiving core return around you. What's the significance of having an entire offseason to work with those guys before playing with the same group for a second year in a row?
It's pretty significant. I mean, there's just so many things in offense nowadays. I mean, back in the day, everything was very black and white, where it's like you run this route, you get open against this coverage, I'm going to win here. Now offenses have evolved to the point where there's a lot of gray area, and a lot of the onus is actually put on receivers. open to field space for RPOs. And look, if RPOs run correctly, it can never be stopped, right? Ever. That's the whole reason why people do it, because it's uncoverable. But you got to make sure you're on the same page with the receivers. And having gone through the gauntlet last year and having seen every look that you can possibly see over the course of 12 games, you're going to be able to, I guess in a roundabout way, complete each other's sentences a little better. You know what I mean? Like when you're sitting there talking with your wife or your significant other, the more time you spend, I know exactly what I'm thinking all the time. She knows what I'm thinking all the time. And it's a little like that when you're dealing with quarterback-wide receiver relationship. Like, I need to know where those guys are going to be all the time. When Mazeo Bennett runs his corner out, I need to know what angle he's going to break it out at. When Mazeo Bennett's trying to win over the top on a slot fade, like, is he anticipating back shoulder, or is he anticipating me floating it over the top, letting him run downfield to go and get it? Like, those are things that you learn and you work on throughout the off. But having seen real live fire in the past, it's a lot easier to execute it that second year because you've seen that coverage before. You've seen that technique of the defender before, and it's just easier for you as a quarterback to know how your guy's going to react to that look when you've seen it one season already and then another off season of a ton of good, valuable equity reps. So I think it's super helpful. I was a 10 times better player in my second year than I was my first year as a starter. It wasn't even close. Now, we didn't win the national championship my second year. We won it my first year, but I was a much better player in 10 than I was in 9. Right. And I think part of that is because of the amount of confidence I was able to build and releasing the ball before my receivers break and understanding defensive coverage and how we're going to attack it. It was night and day. And I would anticipate a similar growth for Lenoris, and I think he's going to be a much more capable thrower this upcoming season.
Well, Greg, we appreciate your time, and hopefully you're a little healed up tomorrow after your Braves outing yesterday.
If it takes me 2 days to recover from 2 beers, I got major problems, boys. But I think I'll be okay.
Appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you at Willie B this upcoming season.
I look forward to it, guys. Thanks.
Yep, he is Greg McElroy, the Jocks FM and the ESPN and SEC Network. We'll come back, recap that conversation as the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs rolls on your Monday on the game. Welcome back in. It is the halftime show. Tyler Head, Captain Ed Bird along with you here as we wrap up today's edition of the show. We'll turn things over to Jay and Terry for the postgame show coming up here in just a couple minutes. As the postgame show gets rolling, there will also be a live press conference announcement. I don't know if Jay and Terry are going to be airing this on their show or not, but you can stream it on the Gamecock Athletics YouTube channel. A collaboration announcement that is deemed, according to a press release yesterday, that will benefit Gamecock Athletics for years to come and specifically impact Williams-Brice Stadium's enhancement. Of course, they're in part of the early phases of the stadium renovation project, which will really get going once the season ends, and they'll have the ability to really focus on that without the deterrent of any football games. Wes Mitchell of Gamecock Central reporting a little earlier on that the transformative collaboration is set to be with Blanchard Machinery, and an announcement that's going to be coming up here in just a couple of minutes with more details on what exactly that means. Believe there's a possibility of maybe on-field signage as well. That's being reported on as of right now, and again, that's coming up in the next couple of minutes as we will learn what exactly the details of that partnership are going to be and what that means for Williams-Brice Stadium, as well as South Carolina athletics as a whole, if it is the sponsorship announcement or the partnership announcement that is being reported on right now by multiple outlets, including Gamecock Central. There, from Gamecock Central there, that Wes Mitchell was reporting on. So again, that's coming up at the top of the hour here, coming up in just a couple minutes. Wanted to hit on a couple of different crazy things that actually happened over the weekend on an injury standpoint. Weird weekend for injuries across all different kind of sports, and that starts off with on Friday night the Atlanta Falcons and the Detroit Lions playing a preseason game in Atlanta. Maurice Norris, the defensive back for the Lions, ends up suffering a pretty scary injury when he goes in to make a tackle, and was left kind of motionless on the field. They had to bring an ambulance out. The Lions and the Falcons end up letting the clock run out on the game because they just didn't feel the need to keep going, because it was in about 12 minutes to go in the fourth quarter when that happened. As after what happened to the Maurice Norris injury, the NFL would eventually announce that the game was suspended, and against preseason, no reason to keep going for a game that doesn't count. Fortunately for him, Dan Campbell, head coach of the Lions, comes out after the game and says, he was alert and moving a little bit and all that kind of stuff. So it does sound like hopefully he is going to be okay at the end of the day. But it's kind of one of those scary things when you see the way his head kind of snaps back, and he's on the ground and doing the twitching thing. You think obviously bad head injury, you think severe neck injury, those kind of things that hopefully he can get back to 100% very, very soon. And something similar as well, if you maybe saw this clip making the rounds on Twitter this weekend, Connor Zilic, who's a driver for Junior Motorsports in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, wins the race at Watkins Glen on Saturday afternoon, and attempting to get out of his car in victory lane to celebrate with his team, he's standing on essentially the door of his car, and the window net's there, and as he's getting out, he slips on it and falls pretty violently down, and you can't see directly when he hits the ground because the camera doesn't kind of drop to follow him that way, but he lands very awkwardly and kind of had that same position on his side where you didn't know if it was like a head injury or a neck injury or something along those lines. Fortunately, because it still probably hurt a lot, fortunately, it was only a broken collarbone, which he should be fine to race here in a couple weeks. Unfortunate for him because, again, he did just win the race on Saturday, and that's an unfortunate way to celebrate, but certainly could have been a whole lot worse. I mean, he got carried out of victory lane on a stretcher. That's insane. So thankfully, both those guys do seem to be okay. And then lastly, Mariano Rivera, the Yankees legend. So the Yankees, for the first time since 2019, had their old-timers game, which is something that a lot of organizations in Major League Baseball have stopped doing for a long time. And I imagine the high risk of injury to elderly or older players, retired players, is probably at the top of the list reasons why they don't do this as much anymore. But the Yankees did decide to revive that game over the weekend, and Mariano Rivera goes out there and tears his Achilles, unfortunately, again, he dealt with an Achilles injury late in his career, I believe maybe in his last season or next to last season. Again, having to deal with that now, all these years later after already retiring. And as I said to Jack earlier, who, of course, is our resident Yankee fan around here, I have a feeling that's going to be the last time that we see that old-timers game for the Yankees because, again, the risk of injury, the liability, and all that kind of stuff is just too high in terms of what can go wrong there with the old-timers game. So a couple of crazy injuries happening over the course of the weekend that I did want to note before we got out of here today. Tomorrow, we'll have Shane Beamer's press conference live at 1 o'clock, which you'll be able to listen to here on the game and obviously get his thoughts coming away from the first scrimmage over the weekend as well as camp as it continues to roll on. That'll do it for the halftime show. For Scott Hamilton and Captain Ed Bird, I am Tyler Head. Coming up next, post-game show with Jay and Terry here on the game.